All righty. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the town of Cottage City. This is our work session. It's Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. The time is 6:37 p.m. Before we get started, I just want to make a few announcements. Let's stop this. Okay, so in order to have an orderly meeting, if you're on Zoom, please wait to be recognized before you just speak out. If you are in the audience as well, please wait to be recognized by the chair. Let's see. I'm going to start with roll call first. Commissioner Young?
Present.
Commissioner Henderson?
Henderson present.
Commissioner Wheatley is present. Commissioner Givens?
Commissioner Givens is present.
Commissioner Brooks?
Brooks present.
Thank you. All 5 commissioners are present and accounted for. So we did the roll call. We have a couple of presentations tonight. We will be having several discussions from different, I think we have at least 1 or 2 vendors tonight. We have 2 vendors that we'll hear from tonight in regards to other items. I will ask the commissioners at this time to please take a look at the agenda. If everyone's satisfied with the agenda and have no edits or changes, we will follow the agenda as it is listed tonight.
This is Brooks. Okay, it's for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, hearing no comments, we're going to follow our agenda. One thing that I do want to try something different tonight in regards to how we conduct our discussion. So normally, you know, during the work sessions, we don't take any votes. We just have an open discussion. So, and we usually start with Ward 1, Commissioner Young, and we proceed around in order. So tonight I want to change it up just a little bit, and if Commissioner Brooks doesn't object, I'd like to start with the at-large commissioner first and work our way back. So it'll be at-large Commissioner Brooks, Ward 4 Commissioner Givens, Ward 3 Commissioner Wheatley, Ward 2 Commissioner Henderson, and we will end the discussion with Ward 1 Commissioner Young. Because Commissioner Young, because you're in the first ward, you always typically go first. So I think I want to switch it up just to see if that makes a difference. And to give Commissioner Brooks the opportunity to have the first time to speak before everyone else. Because usually by the time we get to his name, we've already said everything and he's pretty much out. I agree. So we're going to try it a little differently. So I'm not sure who the first presentation is, who is the air quality monitoring. So that would be University of Maryland. Welcome.
All right, can everybody hear me on Zoom?
Yeah.
I think it's, all right. Well, thank you for having me back here again in the town of Cottage City. My name is Vivek Ravichandran. I'm a researcher at the University of Maryland School of Public Health, and today I'm going to be discussing a hyperlocal air quality monitoring related project that we hope to embark on here in the community. So the presentation I have before you today will begin with a brief background on air quality, some specific pollutants of interest, and how this can be leveraged to benefit this community. I'll talk about specific low-cost instruments that we provide, which are actually going to be free of charge to you. So we as the university will provide them. And then we'll discuss some next steps and how we can move forward as a potential partnership over the span of the next calendar year. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to begin with a brief background, and some of this was presented to the Green Team before. So the EPA, under the authority of the Clean Air Act, has is tasked with regulating 6 criteria air pollutants. The one we're going to focus on today is particulate matter, PM or PM 2.5. And what the EPA does is, as you can see here, it designates an air quality index, or AQI, which is categorized here by this color scale. So green generally corresponds to good or clean air. Yellow is considered moderate, but still below the legal limit. Anything in the orange category or above here is hazardous to human health and would put a community, or in this case, a county or other designated area, in what's known as non-attainment. Next slide, please. But the problem with this, the regulatory infrastructure, is they're reliant on government sensors. And these government monitors that are operated and owned by the Maryland Department of the Environment are oftentimes 10, 20 miles away from environmentally burdened communities. That includes the community here, Cottage City. In fact, at a city block resolution, so even within the community of Cottage City, there can be differences in pollutants such as particulate matter, PM 2.5, ozone, volatile organic compounds, and others by up to 200 to 400%. So frankly put, we can't rely on the simple government monitoring infrastructure to measure the air that we breathe, but we need to scale it down. Next slide, please. So specifically, after a conversation with some representatives from the residents from the community, it's been notified to me that the city, Cottage City, the town, sorry, is plagued with diesel exhaust from heavy trucks, as well as a large span of auto body shops. And these pollutants that stem from these sources can cause various health concerns, which include, but are not limited to, respiratory distress. So personally, I have asthma, so I understand exactly how it feels to be exposed to pollution and how that can impact my breathing. It's also linked to low birth weight, so it impacts pregnant mothers, as well as cognitive inhibition amongst children, so it affects their ability to learn in school. And as you can see here on the figure to the right, I've outlined some sources, environmental pollution sources, that really stem right alongside Route 1 here, which intersect the communities of Colmer Manor, as well as some of the other port towns. Next slide, please. So I've really outlined the problem, and I don't want to spend too much time because I know we have other presentations, so feel free to give me a 5 or 10 minute warning whenever you like. Yes, ma'am?
On the last picture there, it looked like there were a few red dots in Cottage City, but those are on the other side of the road, is that right?
Could we scroll back? The ones at the top?
Right.
That would be, I would have to zoom in, but I'm sure you're more familiar with the general geography here. So that is classified as, it's directly northeast of Mount Rainier.
It must be on the other side of the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
By Brentwood, okay.
Yes, I just wanted to
Okay.
clarify. Thank you.
Yep. So I've already discussed the problem statement. So how do we proceed? So I want to present to you this concept of low-cost sensors. These sensors are very cheap relatively to what government monitors might cost. The government instruments can cost $10,000, $20,000, and even universities that bring in a lot of funds cannot afford to buy them in bulk. The purple air, for example, the PM 2.5 sensor here, is $250 per unit, and it's as accurate as some of these government monitors. It's less bulky, so it's about the size of a little bit larger than one's fist, and it's normally a plug and play device, which means you just sort of plug it in and it collects data passively. It doesn't make any loud noises, and it's even color coded, so you can see what the quality of the air is in real time. Next slide, please. Yep, already covered this. We can move on, but this is just a closer up of the instrument here. So here comes the important part. How do we set up these units? Normally, the University of Maryland will come and set up the unit. So once we discuss a partnership agreement, a memorandum of understanding with the town, we'll be able to proceed with the step. But we would come here to your town, we would come to the residence, we'd come to the town hall, wherever you want the setup to take place. We just need there to be some form of stable Wi-Fi. We do have backup plans if there's no Wi-Fi present. Every unit does come with an SD standard logger SD card within the unit that stores the data manually. We would like there to be a power source so we can plug the instrument in, preferably on the outside of the building so we don't have to loop it through a window or cause any other distress to your property. We use zip ties to fasten the unit into place. We also have the option of using power tools to drill into place, but I don't want to, again, causing distress to the property. And we try to avoid placing these units near barbecues, HVAC vents, and other areas where there might be background noise impacting the values. And that's just a picture right there of what the unit looks like when it's plugged in, or not plugged in, but about to be plugged in. So very minimally invasive. Next slide. And if there are any questions online or anywhere, please feel free to interrupt me. I guess we have the chat box for that. So this slide wouldn't really concern you. This is just how we actually set up the instrument. So once we plug the purple air in, I actually have an example in my car, but when we get to that stage, I'll be able to have another demonstration at another time, just for the sake of time. We plug the unit in, and then we connect to the Purple Air's hotspot. Once we connect to the Purple Air's hotspot, then we have to connect to the actual home Wi-Fi, so whatever the Wi-Fi is at the property. And then from there, it'll be able to just stream onto the Purple Air crowd map, which is publicly accessible to anybody. So you can see the unit in real time whenever you'd like. Next slide. And that's what the Purple Air map looks like. So you would click, for example, these are some of the units that are actually located in Colmer Manor. So we have one at their town hall, we have one at another residence, and so when you click on the circle, so if you go to map.purpleair.com or Google Purple Air map, you'll be able to see this. You just use it like it's your Google map, and you click on the circle there. The circle is color-coded, as you can see. The air quality right now in Colmer Manor, not right now, but when this picture was taken, November 11th, 8:46 p.m., was between green and yellow. So it's almost in that moderate range. It shows you the trends. So you have a picture of the fluctuations over time. And you can also download data for up to a span of 1 year. So we, as the scientists, would do that for you just to make things easier, and we would just present some charts similar to this. Users can also make their device private. So if you're concerned about facilities, sometimes for example, in Baltimore City, we've experienced issues where some of the corporations are managing or looking at the Purple Air website. So if you want to keep it private, they won't be able to see this instrument. Only you and the research team will be able to. So we have that option as well. Next slide, please. Next slide. Oh, that's it? Oh, I was like, I'm not done yet. So yeah, this is the important part, right? What needs to be done? So as we talked about with the green team, I believe the commissioners need to vote on this project in general before we can even proceed into developing a memorandum of understanding. Once the commissioners vote, we will give the council or the commissioners or the green team a copy of the MOU so you can examine it and make any recommendations. And then we would sign off. So my director, the director of the EJ lab at the university, would sign, and I believe all the commissioners would need to sign. I'm not sure of how that would work, but we can discuss that, the best form of action. Yes, ma'am.
How many of these would be placed in the?
Yes. So we can provide up to 10. If you'd like fewer, that's fine. But we have designated 10 for your community. Yes. And that the placement of these units, I feel bad having my back to you, sorry. The placement of these units is totally up to you as a community. Where do you want them? Who is willing to host them? And where's the most ideal spot based on the environmental sources around you? So we can work on that together. This is once we have completed the first couple steps. And then once we finalize the MOU, we will develop a quality assurance plan. So this just has an idea of how we'll make sure the data is accurate and how it can be actionable. We want to make sure that we are providing robust, accurate data that can be leveraged for any pollution mitigation strategies down the road. And then we want a flyer. So we would like to identify locations where we can place flyers, just to promote this project in case we want to have other residents who aren't able to attend these meetings actively participate. And I've just identified a couple sites here. So one great spot would be the Central Town Hall. Another spot obviously would be residences for those who would offer to volunteer. I see something in the chat, but we'll just go to the next slide. I think that's my final slide, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Yeah, just a couple more slides. So if we want to just go a couple slides back. Yes. One more. So yeah, as I have here, 5 to 10 air quality monitor and host volunteers. So we have up to 10, but to get a good glimpse of the community, we would like at least 5. We are looking to have a year's worth of data, so we're going into 2025, so we can really assess seasonal variation because temperature, humidity, all these other atmospheric dynamics plays a role in the data. So we want to make sure we have a good, robust data set. What we've done with other communities, with other partnerships, and specifically with the EPA's ARP grant, which we have received at the University of Maryland, is we have a mid-year report, kind of like a progress report. And then we have our final report back out to the community in a venue such as this. And maybe we could invite a lot of the residents to come and listen to the results as well. And then we would collectively co-develop potential mitigation strategies here. And I have connections to the Maryland Department of the Environment who would be able to possibly assist with some of these projects. But again, these are conversations that can be had once we have that mid-year report back, and possibly once we have monthly, bi-weekly calls or check-in periods, which I'm very open to having, just so we have a more stringent form of communication over the span of this project. So on the right is an example of a flyer we've used in Colmer Manor. So we would provide probably something similar to that. Next slide. Oh, you're fine. Yeah, and I just have a quick slide here on the future of the community, but again, I don't want to speak for the community. I want this to be a community-driven project, so I hesitate to read off of some of these bullet points, but we do really we would love to see small-scale interventions. For example, in Fairmont Heights, they had tree planting efforts. In Cheverly, they're trying to have truck rerouting patterns. So how can we look at what other communities have done and possibly leverage that here? And again, I would love to hear from the commissioners, from the residents, from the council member, or the green team, to see what your ideas are, and bring this back to my boss, and bring this back to the Maryland Department of the Environment, and bring this back to Council Chair Jolene Ivey, who actually funded some of the initial work that we've done, who carries a lot of political weight as well. So those are just some of my ideas, and I want to stop there. Again, this is a community-driven project, and I know we have a lot of other discussions. So with that being said, I have my contact information on the final slide. If we just go to that slide really quickly, I'm the first name. I'm the air quality manager at Siege, or the EJ Lab. Clay Thompson is one of our field technicians, and Richard Dillahunt was the individual who presented with me last time. He also does a lot of installs and can answer questions about if you need any maintenance or any technical issues. So that's our website as well if you want to learn more about us. But I will stop there, pause there, and I thank you all for your time, the green team for listening to this presentation for the second time, and the commissioners. It's great to meet all of you either in person or on Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So before you leave,
yeah, I'm here. I'm not going.
Don't go anywhere.
Run away, yeah.
I'm going to give the commissioners an opportunity to ask your questions, and then we'll open it up and see if any public comments. There's one or two comments in the chat from the public. So we'll hear from the commissioners first, starting with Commissioner Brooks, and then we'll work our way back, and then we'll move on to the public comments.
Yes,
so if you could just stay with us for a few more minutes.
Of course, yep.
Thank you. Commissioner Brooks, any comments or questions?
I'm still sure. I've heard about this from Denise, and thank you so much for coming out. Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Givens. Commissioner
No,
Givens.
I don't have any questions. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate the presentation.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Since I'm was at the Green Team meeting just the other day. I heard the presentation. I was very impressed, so I don't have any questions for you
Thank you.
tonight. Thank you. Commissioner Henderson.
It was a wonderful presentation, but no questions at this time.
And Commissioner Young.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I don't have Wi-Fi, but I'm sure you can get them.
We can get data without Wi-Fi access as well, so we have a backup plan for that.
Good, excellent.
Yes. Yes.
Depending on what we find,
Mike, please.
those solutions,
Oh, sorry. Can you repeat that? There was, I think, some background noise.
I think someone was asking to use your mic.
oh, sorry. Depending upon what you find, do you have proposed solutions as a sort of next step, or?
Yeah, so I mentioned some of the mitigation strategies, but I would have to bring that back to my advisor who has more experience actually implementing that. So I'm kind of the researcher. But we would love to bring you to that table, and also with MDE. So possibly have an MDE participate in a roundtable discussion. So I have nothing at this exact time though, yeah.
Okay, before we go to public comments, I do want to ask one quick question.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know at the Green Team meeting, you had talked about the MOU.
Yes.
And so, in order for us to take a vote on it, we would need the MOU.
Okay.
Will you be able to provide that?
I do have an update. The university, as you probably know, it can be very slow. Lots of strings, but we did get an update. So now that they're back from Thanksgiving break, they have put this at the top of their agenda. So I will hear back this week, and I will be able to email you, whether it's yourself, Mr. John, or whoever you want in that email thread. I can email a copy of that MOU.
Yeah, if you could email it to the town manager, he'll
Okay.
make sure that the town attorney reviews it.
Okay.
And then, based on legal advice, we'll take a vote after that.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds great. You want to read the comments?
Okay, so I have Clarissa Zarita de Leon. For those with unlimited Wi-Fi, would residents be compensated for the Wi-Fi usage to keep the spread of the host sites equitable?
So the question was for those with unlimited Wi-Fi,
Right.
right? We have compensated residents in the past on a monthly basis for Wi-Fi. We haven't had any complaints from any of our other hyperlocal networks in terms of the utility bills going up. So I will say that. But if this is something that it'll be difficult for me to get compensation is what I'm trying to say. It will be difficult.
Okay. And the second one was from Diana Gillespie. It says, are there areas, residences that would be ideal for a sensor to be located? For example, along 38th Avenue.
So once the MOU is submitted, in the quality assurance plan, we will have sort of a general outline of addresses, and I wanted to develop that. I will share that document with the commissioners so we can list the possible sites, and then from there we just have to scour for availability. So who lives there, who knows about this project, and who wants to host the sensor. So we want to keep them within 0.1 kilometers of any sources of air pollution that you know of. So that's 0.1 kilometers within 1,000 meters. So that's the capture zone of these purple air instruments, in case you're wondering. And I don't think that'll be an issue, right? 1,000 meters is a pretty long swath of land.
I also have a comment from Denise Hamler that says the Green Team has endorsed this and would like to see it implemented in 2024. And of course, Diana Gillespie has written, what is the total cost to the town?
There's no cost for the town to host the devices. The sensors are all provided free of cost, and we have them in stock right now. So, yeah. It's kind of why it's hard for me to provide compensation for Wi-Fi. It's already, a free instrument. Yeah.
I have another comment from Denise Hamler. We are following our Sustainable Maryland goals and other sister communities that have implemented this program. And I have another one from Diana Gillespie. After information is collected and mitigation strategies are offered, would it be up to the town to take action, and will this have potential to cost the town money?
These are great questions. Some of them are outside of my scope. you know. So I will speak to my advisor, and if you can send me, maybe email me like a, just in quotes, that question, I'll
Okay.
make sure I relay that and have an answer for you once the commissioners vote and we start to proceed.
We will do that.
Yes.
Any more comments or questions?
Thank you.
Well,
There's
thank
a
you.
hand, I think.
Is-
Yes, it's Amy Sawyer. I've got my hand up.
Go ahead, Amy.
So I was hoping that we could get the sensor at the community garden, which lies at the base of the CSX tracks. I think you would be able to get multiple points of data for air quality. It's clear if you've ever spent time in the garden that the trains run right over your head and they disperse a ridiculous amount of sediment into the garden. So I apologize. We had multiple points of information about when this session was going to start. On the website, it said it was going to start at 7, but I'm seeing that we actually started half an hour ago. So I just want to really suggest that we put a sensor at the community garden, because that is where so many of our residents spend time. That's where we grow food. It's an important point to be measuring air quality.
Thank you. Yeah, I will include that in our quality assurance plan and protocol when we start to outline the 10 sites. So we'll make sure. I mean, I'll have to defer to the community, the rest of the community for that. But I've made a note of that. Thank you.
Denise Hamler, once we have the MOU, we will look at placements. We could place one at any of the houses along Cottage Terrace.
Okay. So this will all go into our QAP. That's what quality assurance plan, we call it QAP. So that'll all go into that. I think we have those notes from the chat, so we can just archive that.
Yep.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, both here and also on Zoom. Thanks for having me, and have a great rest of your evening.
You too. Appreciate you coming out again. All right. Next up, we're going to hear from Lindsay and Chelsea. Chalk Riot? That's right. All right. You have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. This time it's not about cats. It is about traffic calming solutions for Cottage City. In a couple meetings ago, there was concern expressed about the need for traffic calming solutions. And of course, we have ARPA funds on the table. And so we were lucky to have some interest shown in our proposal about street art. And I have been lucky enough to work with Chalk Riot, who paints traffic calming street art. And so I have asked Chelsea Ritten-Sornen to join me today. She is the CEO of Chalk Riot. And I don't know, are we able to go? Chelsea, do you want to just speak to the slides, or would you rather be on screen?
Hi, can you all hear me?
We can barely hear
Chief, I don't know if we
Can you speak up again? We can barely hear you.
Yes, I'm speaking now. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I'm happy to move along with the slides if you'd like. I'm also hearing a bit of an echo. Is that bothersome for folks, or is it manageable?
We can't hear it in here.
Okay,
Okay.
great. So yes, thank you so much, Lindsay, for that introduction, and thank you, Vivek, for that wonderful presentation. Uh, there's a nice serendipity here in that there's an exciting direct link between air quality and sustainable infrastructure, which we'll be discussing today. So, great day to be talking about climate solutions. Thank you to the Cottage City for having us today and for being willing to listen to our proposal. We're very excited about it, and I'll get started. So, for those that haven't looked through our brochure or know who we are, Chalk Riot is a mural production company that is now celebrating our 11th year. We've specialized in all artwork on the ground. So whether that's ephemeral chalk art that is events-based or community-based, or more lasting infrastructure projects like this, everything we do is on the ground. And that's because we believe that creating art on the ground is one of the most effective ways to start conversation with public art and one of the most effective ways to protect the communities that we care so much about. And if we move forward with this project, which I hope we do, it will actually be our 20th traffic calming project. Next slide, please. So this is and labeled appropriately here, this is daydreaming. I know that we haven't had the chance to discuss particulars about exact site location. I know there's some questions about 38th Street, but what we do know is that having our studios right around the corner at 3711 Rhode Island, and out of 8 artists in that studio, proud members of the Gateway Arts District, 5 of us use bicycles to get to work, and we walk all around during the day to go get lunch and have meetings with community members and just live in this area. And there are some harrowing spots. And we know that the best pavement art solutions are created in already marked off areas. And we actually just completed a 2-block long project very similar to this in downtown Rockville, Maryland. And so when we saw this, we saw the great potential to do some artwork here as well. Next slide, please. I want to stress too that those previous slides are just mock-ups. They're not exact design solutions, and we do have a very community-focused design process that includes meeting with community members, receiving feedback, submitting drafts for feedback, and then creating a final design for approval from all relevant parties, including council members and city staff. We do believe in a future of city streets where everyone can walk, stroll, and roll with the confidence that their journey will not only be safe, but colorful and joyful. And this was a project in downtown DC that we worked with about 24 crew members on a project that wrapped around an entire city block, and it was a really wonderful experience. Next slide, please. So as far as technical expertise, I say this with humility and grace, but we are at the cutting edge of this genre in the country, if not the world. There are only a few companies in the country that specialize in pavement art applications as their full-time job, and we are lucky to be one of them. I'm also pursuing a master's degree in sustainable transportation design right now, so that we can continue to expand and strengthen this genre, looking to a future of safer roadways. In this country, we are one of the only countries in the world that have a continually rising pedestrian fatality rate instead of a lower one, despite all of the new technologies that exist in the automobile industry and public transportation to decrease those rates. Once per day, roughly 20 pedestrians are struck by vehicles and killed in this country. And thankfully, one of the strategies that is actively being used to mitigate this crisis is pavement art. In a recent Bloomberg philanthropies study, it was found that in sites where there were incidences of traffic violence, once pavement art was installed at those sites, rates of traffic collisions and accidents decreased by almost half. So this art can really save lives. Next slide, please. These are just some of our frequent clients that we've had the opportunity to work with. Next slide, please. And Amy, I see your hand, so I'll save questions at the end, but I want to let you know that I see you. This is, again, our creative commitments, our design process. Next slide, please. And again, not sorry for the redundancy here. Next slide, please. Go ahead. So here's an overhead diagram. We got really excited about this location on 38th Street only because of its proximity and the potential to really calm traffic here. So we made a quick diagram of the potential site locations. I'm sure you're all very familiar with this site, it being right outside the building that you're in right now. Next slide. And here's an approximate price breakdown. Being right around the corner, we're also happy to waive some of the usual costs that we would charge cities and more corporate clients because it isn't right in our backyard and we want to make it as accessible as possible. Next slide. And here are just some additional artworks that we're proud to share. And go ahead. So all of these are have been produced in the last few years. The majority of them, these are throughout, actually all of these are in DC, but we have worked in Montgomery County several times, never in PG County. So this would be a first, which is exciting. Go ahead. And this is just another example. You know, in the name of brevity, we can kind of skip through these, but it's also on our website if you'd like to explore. And the following few slides are just an in-depth presentation of a very history-focused project that we did in DuPont Circle. So you can go ahead and flip through those. Thank you so much. And we share this. Here's a lovely quote from a transportation planner in DC. They researched the history of the neighborhood to create a mural that reflects the history of the space. And for that program, so the district has, so at DDOT, they have a program called Arts in the Right of Way, which prioritizes projects and traffic calming projects just like this. And I've been lucky to be a contract consultant with that program over the last 3 years. So not only have we created artworks ourselves and designed and installed them, but we've also helped curate and teach those skills to over 24 artists in addition to ourselves, which has been so gratifying and fun. Thank you. Next slide. And that's it. Some final notes that I'll add is that one of the, for this project, we would use the highest grade of colorful pavement coating that is available to this industry that we're able to use. It's a product called Street Bond. We like it because it's not only durable, but it's also the most water safe pavement coating that we can find. I'm actually doing a research project on sustainability of different asphalt mixes and coatings right now, and still am able to stand by our Street Bond decision, which is really exciting. And we have great relationships with those vendors. And it also has a solar reflective quality, which is really essential in this time of climate crisis and warming and warming temperatures. It actually helps cool things down. It cools the surfaces up to 30 degrees in full sun, which is really spectacular. And with that, I'm happy to field any questions and comments and fully available. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chelsea, and thank you, Lindsay, for being here and for your presentation tonight. I really like it. I do have a couple of questions and comments, but I'm going to wait my turn. I'm going to start again with Commissioner Brooks and work my way backwards. Commissioner Brooks, any comments or questions for our presenters?
Yeah, as well. And I think this is exciting. I think we need more like artwork in this town to kind of brighten it up and liven it up, but we also need the safety measures in the streets. I was reading through this earlier. I did have a couple of suggestions and questions. I think 38th is going to be really difficult, state highway. But I also think it's just good to bring it down into the actual community. So I was thinking maybe better if the four-way stop sign, the boxes. One thing we've seen is a lot of cars just running stop signs, especially when the tot lot was created. It was super dangerous. You had to walk your kid out to make sure that they weren't going to get hit by cars. So I was thinking maybe like a couple of those boxes being painted would help with maybe cars stopping so pedestrians can cross. I was thinking even some places like 40th Ave in Parkwood, 40th Place in Parkwood, maybe another one on Ward 1 side, just to try to get traffic to start stopping. But again, it's good, visual art as well. So yeah, great job. I did have one question. I know you touched on it briefly at the end. How long do these typically last before they need maintenance?
Yeah, that does. Thank you for your comments, John. And I want to emphasize too that 38th is just an idea, but we're definitely not married to it. So if there's other spots that are more beneficial to the community, by all means, we're happy to pursue those as well. As far as durability, we typically recommend well, it's twofold. So I have two answers. When the street bond is applied in an already blocked off area, like a curb extension or the bike lane buffer that is marked off with posts along 38th, it's definitely going to have a longer lifespan than when it's in the direct moving route of moving traffic, just due to like tire markings. So when it's out of the right of way, it's a solid lifespan of about 3 years until it needs real touch-ups. Your typical high traffic crosswalk needs touch-ups once a year. So that's pretty great. When it's in more of the direct route of traffic, it's touch-ups required maybe once every 2 years. And those touch-ups can take as short as 1 or 2 days.
Okay, was that it for you, John?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Commissioner Givens?
Can you hear me?
I didn't hear what you just said. Was that the end of your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Givens?
Yeah, what are the costs and associated costs to each mural?
Sure thing. I do have a chart. I don't know if you still have the ability to pull up the presentation. There is a chart of there was a cost estimate in that slide, if that's able to be pulled up. But for this one, we estimated for that 38th Street stretch, we estimated about I think it was 25 to 30 grand. Yeah, about $30,000, and that includes materials, design, and community outreach, and labor, of course. And as well as pavement cleaning, which is actually sometimes one of the most expensive items. But all in all, much more affordable than building out hard infrastructure. So good for a quick win, especially in areas that need help immediately. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but like like Wanda, Commissioner Wheatley said, you're unlikely, if at all, to get State Highway to sign off on it. And if you did, that'll be years away. I mean, we're still trying to get red light camera back up, here. So the question is, let's look beyond State Highway situation on 38th, because we don't have any control over that. It doesn't belong to us. We can't tell them to put it there. We can ask, but we can't. Okay, so
I see.
So I think it's more realistic to discuss the cost associated with a street that's in the town, like what John had suggested. The other caveat is that we don't have any bike lanes in the town, and so that's not That's so it would have to be on a traffic driven area. So if you could provide us with some type of estimate regards to that. Now we do have several. Now, are you looking, and also the other question is, are you looking to do this in conjunction with the speed humps that we already have in place?
They certainly could be. We've never done a project like that before, but it's certainly not out of the question. I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah. So if you could provide, did you have any costs associated with that? That would be, more in line with what we have some control over, and that see if it,
Mm-hmm. Well,
works with it.
generally, we price out our labor and supplies costs by the square foot. So
Oh,
we can give very rough estimates, but once we have some specific ideas, we'll just run out there with our measuring tools and then we can give a more exact estimate.
Okay. All right. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So basically, Commissioner Brooks and Commissioner Givens both have commented on one of my comments in regards to 38th. As we all know, that is maintained by SHA, so we really do not have any control. And our town attorney put something in the chat in regards to permits, which was another question I was going to ask, so we can read that into the record. But my other question was, are there any locations close by other than DC that we could go and take a look at your art? Anywhere close to any other municipalities, like maybe Hyattsville or somewhere closer by that we could take a look?
Yeah, absolutely. Our friends at another company did a couple intersections right outside Vigilante Coffee. You could definitely go check that out as far as what that looks like.
Can you repeat that one? I didn't hear it. Where's that located?
Right outside Vigilante Coffee in Hyattsville.
Vigilante?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I know where that is. Okay.
Yeah, so there's some traffic. It's not our project, but as far as just getting a good sense of the art form and seeing how people move around it and how drivers react to it, that's the closest example.
Okay.
Otherwise, we have projects in downtown Alexandria. We just finished a big one in downtown Rockville, as well as DC. We have a big pedestrian plaza in Silver Spring, and those are all the closest that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, great. I'll definitely go and try to take a look. That was it for me. Commissioner Henderson?
Yes, most of the questions, the same questions I would have asked. Even though, 38th Street already had those bike lanes anyway. So, they already put them up. So, and like I said, you have to have a permit before you can do any other upgrading or painting around there. My next thing was, only one question I was going to ask was, how would that paint, be affected by the winter weather? Ice, snow. Even when you go around, like, okay, I remember, John mentioned, putting one of your artworks near the two-way stop signs. And I can see where that could be valuable, even though I don't, especially like on 40th Avenue, it's a two-way stop sign there, but I still think they'll run it. Even though it would look nice, but still I would like to know how would your paint hold up in that type of weather, especially snow, ice, because you also have the people removing snow going over that pavement, and I was just listening to you were saying that you would touch it up like every 2 years, but with that weather, I was wondering, could be less, maybe.
It could be less, yeah, and a lot of this depends on, we can't predict the weather, we can't predict the elements, but for places that are in the direct right-of-way, lots of vehicle traffic, salt, of course, accelerates the erosion can accelerate the erosion of the street bond pavement coating material. However, we are still confident that, when I say that couple years mark, that includes the knowledge of how winters can, how our paint can react to winter elements and salt and snow plows and all of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Young.
Yeah. My main question, I think you've sort of already gone over, and that, well, it's a little bit different. 38, apart from being a state highway, it's a pretty dangerous road. And so that raised the question for me, if you did it on 38, how would you manage to do it without getting run over? Which brings me to the next question, which is, if you're doing it on other streets, because as it's been said, we can't give you permission to work on 38 because it's a state highway. But would you need to have police protection or something in order to paint sections of the roads inside Cottage City? Because we certainly wouldn't want to have anyone hit by a car while you were doing it. So what are your plans on that?
Yeah, I so appreciate the question and the concern for our safety, so thank you. For artwork that is in the direct right of way, we do typically require a road closure then. We've been able to succeed with these with everything from block party permit for smaller projects, which are usually a much lower lift than more complicated traffic rerouting. But we have experience in working with cities and municipalities and especially police departments in communicating those needs and making sure that we have whatever permits are necessary. What's funny about our genre is that no city in the country has like a permit process for artwork on the street specifically, but they do have processes for crosswalk installations today. So we always follow those same processes that are already in place.
The only other question I have, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but do you have any kind of statistics on how and to what extent these actually do save lives or prevent accidents? Because in town, I mean, we can't give you 38, but in town, I'm just wondering, would they do more than a stop sign would do?
I will definitely link, once we're done with questions, because I see there's a couple of questions in the chat as well with that same curiosity. So I will drop a couple links that lead to those studies and data. I also want to emphasize that just like having flex posts next to a bike lane, it's not complete protection because it's still in the road. You need a tandem support system of infrastructure and communication as well as art. Art is not a singular fix, but what it does is help raise awareness and help slow traffic down. But it is not 100% guarantee, of course, and I want to be honest about that. And I'll add, in a time, and I just want to add though, in a time of crisis, some help is better than none, and that's why we're enthusiastic about this work.
Thanks, I don't have any more.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Holston, can you read the comments and then we'll take questions?
Thank you.
Will do. Denise Hamler, the Green Team thinks this would be a good project to implement in Cottage City due to the increased auto traffic and pedestrian intersections. This is in interactions. This is in alignment with our Sustainable Maryland goals. The second one is Clarissa Zarate. How long does the art last before it starts to fade, or what's done to preserve the art? I think we've already talked about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kevin Best, does the vendor obtain the SHA permits for the town? Traffic control is provided by whom?
What is an SHA permit?
State Highway Administration.
I don't think we need to address that since we've kind of ruled out 38th Street. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Right.
Okay. And as far as traffic control, often we have our own team as flaggers. You can hire in other circumstances when we're not able to close the road completely. Our partners and clients have often hired their own flagging teams as well, or offered their own DOT crew members to help. We really just have to look at to what capacity that Cottage City could help, and then we can help navigate filling in the gaps.
I have Caleb Bernhain. Besides the Bloomberg article, can you provide other studies linking street art to decrease traffic incidents slowing?
To date, the Bloomberg study is actually the only officially federally recognized study that has proven this to work. That's just because it's such a new it's such a new field and genre of artwork. It's only been really in the last 6-7 years that this has taken off. So to conduct a several year study is still a very new thing. However, I'll find a couple links because I know they're around there of more like local case studies with a lot of anecdotes from citizens about how it's improved their communities in addition to the Bloomberg study, if that's useful.
Next comment from Kevin Best. If you place workers or painters in the state public way, even briefly, you will still need a permit from SHA. If you paint the surface of a municipal road, the permit can be waived, but traffic, control and safety is still an issue. Next one, Amy Sawyer. Hey, Caleb. Oh, so good to see you. Very good. And that's it.
Okay, and I see Amy's had her hand up for quite some time.
Yeah, sorry. That was a side comment to Caleb. So I just wanted to encourage traffic slowing for sure. But there's also a huge movement in PG County to slow traffic and improve walking for our kids who are going to elementary school or any school. Just last year, 2 kids in Riverdale, were hit and killed, and it's been a huge movement to make safe passageways and all of that. So to what John said and the other folks, we have a couple of school stops, like at on Parkwood, at the Tot Lot, and then just another block over at the church. Those are the 2 bus stops for the kids. On top of that, I would really like to put you in touch with Tim Meyer, who is the PTO head for Mount Rainier Elementary School. He's also part of the whole Safe Schools movement.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not already in touch with him, they are working to get serious funding to make walking to school safer. And while I appreciate you are here for Cottage City, and I appreciate that the council doesn't want to look at 38, all of our kids, it's like 70 kids, get to elementary school, get to go to Mount Rainier Elementary, and many of them have to cross 38. And then we have to cross Route 1, and then we have to cross 38th again, because the way the traffic works, you have to cross and cross and cross. So if there's any way that I can send you Tim's information if you don't already have it. John Hotzen, I know you're on the line. Are you the best way to pass on that information, or?
More than happy to do that for you.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much. And also, I mean, the kids that we have in the area would love to be part of the art. And if you are not already part of Joe's Movement Emporium, they do a huge amount of art in the area. So through John Hotzen, I'll send you some contact information. I'm very excited about the process. So yeah, thank you for coming and talking.
Thank you so much, Amy. Would it be all right for us to exchange contact info after the meeting as well?
Yeah, well, absolutely. So I think John Hotzen is he'll hook us up. I promise.
Great. Wonderful.
Okay.
Well, thank you so
Excellent.
much.
Thank you so much.
All right, I don't see any more comments or in the chat. You have one?
I have. Well, Chelsea just made a comment. I encourage people who are interested in traffic calming and increasing pedestrian safety to check out the Trolley Trail Extension Project along Rhode Island Avenue. And then I have one more from Clarissa. It said, could we get community volunteers to do pave cleaning to cut cost? What are things we could do to help cut cost to help the committee approve this? There is reason why all of your projects are in high socioeconomic status areas like DuPont Circle and Rockville.
So thank you for the questions and comments, Clarissa. The first question, can we get community volunteers to do pavement cleaning to cut costs? Yes, and we need high quality, sorry, I'm having a really bad echo. Thank you. Yes, and the pavement cleaning to really clean a roadway well requires diesel-powered equipment that is hard to come by. It's not your typical equipment that folks have easy access to. So that's why it's more expensive, and you have to have like a huge 60, 70 gallon tank of water to really clean it well. So while we can have people help, it's one of those things that really is more efficient and more useful to have professionals handle. The good news is we have some great relationships with local businesses that love supporting community arts and are willing to usually do things at a lower cost. And there's definitely other steps of the art recreation process where we can save money. And what are things we can do to help cut costs? Yeah, so we can have community paint days sometimes. I wouldn't say that necessarily helps cut costs. It's usually adds costs because we have to have people, then we have to hire flagging crews and have professionals in the roadway to help keep people safe while they're helping. But like I said, there's definitely steps along the design process, and we usually do like fun chalk art ribbon cutting events when the projects are done, and we make sure that folks are heard and seen throughout the process, even if they can't be in the roadway. But above all else, it's more of a safety issue to have folks helping volunteer. We want to make sure that they're trained accordingly because it is in the right of way, and these are dangerous areas. As far as the equity observation that you've noted, it's definitely undeniable that higher income areas throughout the country, and especially in DC, usually get preference for traffic calming projects. However, Chalk Riot has worked in many socioeconomic settings, not just in high income areas, and I encourage you to check out our portfolio to do so. But it's definitely, I mean, the infrastructure of our roadways and highways alone carry the legacy of racist redlining and infrastructure that has led us to this point and continues to this day. So we always want to hold space for that and fight back against that, and making sure that we put these projects where they're needed the most.
All right, thank you, Chelsea. We have another comment for you. Chief, you wanted to ask a question?
Yes. Thank you for your presentation. My name is Anthony Ayers. I'm Chief of Police here at Town of Cottage City. My concerns are in reference to the cost for upkeep. The reason why I say that is because we paint our curbs almost every year because they flake off, cars hit them, they're scraped. When we do snow removal and salt, it's really hard on our asphalt as well as our painted curbs. It's very expensive for us to go out there every year to paint those curbs. And so to come back and to do a touch-up every 2 years, how much does that cost, for one? Secondly, for a small town like us, we don't have a budget that we can actually put money aside every year to do touch-ups for something that can actually turn into look very terrible if we don't touch it up. And once we have it down and we don't touch it up, it looks like pretty much graffiti. I have seen it in communities before where they don't touch it up and it looks really like garbage after a couple of years. They don't have the money to actually touch them up, and it's more of a hassle to get it totally removed than try to get it repaired. So I just want to make sure that the commission understands that. I think it's a great idea. The reason why you see it in Rockville, because they have the funding to actually keep it up. We won't have the funding to keep it up on a constant basis, not even in 2 years. It's very expensive to do. I just want to know if we do go into this route, do we have a grant that we can go out for to actually keep it maintained, or is there any funds out there we could probably tap into to actually keep it maintained? My thing is maintain this project. Thank you.
So I would say that as far as maintenance goes and costs for maintenance, and thank you for the question and comment, this is really reliant on what are the goals of the artwork. Most of these projects are not intended to last for a decade or 2 decades. We know that it's paint, and paint is not permanent. And while it can be maintained, it's definitely not meant to stand alone as the solution for traffic calming. And so most often, I would say, 90% of the projects that we've participated in are intended to only last 2 to 5 years max to kickstart other traffic calming initiatives because they are quicker and easier to implement than building out, say, cement or steel infrastructure. Does that answer the question? I'm sorry if it's a bit vague.
Yes, it does. But also, the reason why I'm saying that is because if you come and do touch-up, how much would that cost us? Half of the total cost, maybe $15,000 to keep it up. If you did 38th, we know you're not doing 38th, but you gave me numbers for 38th, which is 30,000. So you say doing the touch-up, you're talking about half?
No, it'd be far less. Off the top of my head, for a touch-up, say, I mean, I would be shocked if it were more than $5,000.
Okay. And the reason why I say that is because we did a road study in our community. We are almost a cut through for 38th Avenue. We have over 300, 400 cars that come through our town per day. That's a lot of cars traveling over your artwork. And it's going to be a lot of wear and tear, car marks, grease. I love the idea of painting in the community because I think it would brighten up the area. I think we should do something else by artwork in the community other than a street where it causes more problems of us trying to keep it maintained than the really work of it. I think the money should be spent on trying to beautify the town with some kind of artwork above the ground instead of on the asphalt, because you're talking about wear and tear, and I'm talking about how we want to maintain this, because it does look really messed up if you don't touch it up. I've seen it in some of the areas over the Eastern Shore where it had this, they ran out of money, they couldn't repay it, and it looked like garbage after a couple of years, and they don't have the money to actually take it up. It looked like graffiti. So I just want to make sure that if y'all do go this route, that y'all maintain it and make sure that we have the budget to actually maintain this kind of project. That's all.
Thanks,
Thank you
Chief.
so much.
I would just add that could be another benefit of me having eyes on it pretty much every day, and Chelsea being local as well.
Yeah, and I would also add that, you raise a good point, and thank you for that comment. And, traffic calming is, of course, a major benefit of roadway murals. And another major benefit is that it can help kickstart dialogue and community engagement around this very conversation of road safety it can help, like any other community mural project, help get folks involved in creative ways where they feel a sense of ownership and pride for their community. And it can serve as an example for other cities and other areas to also start taking those conversations seriously. So there's many benefits to these murals, even when they don't last forever. Sometimes those conversations outlast the installation itself, and that can be a good thing, while acknowledging that, of course, a roughed up, dirty mural doesn't look great.
Thank you, Chelsea. There's a hand raised, Ben. You want to make a comment?
Well, I appreciate your concern about a rough-looking mural. A dead child will look far worse for Cottage City, and I think it is really important to consider the dialogue that this will create about future improvements such as road diets, bump outs, raised intersection, more expensive infrastructure that will lead to fewer road deaths, fewer accidents involving pedestrians, bicyclists, senior citizens, animals, etc. So I support this measure because it will begin the conversation, and it has been statistically shown to reduce road violence while we contemplate more serious, more permanent infrastructure to protect our community. Thank you.
All right, there's a few comments in the chat.
Clarissa has stated, so we're happy to have them here, yes. And at Chief Ayers, could we get a grant to pay for continued maintenance? And then at Chief Ayers, couldn't the art come from the explorers, from the citizens of Cottage City? Zadiah Gomez says, hi, I would like to see more art in our town, such as murals in Brentwood buildings. I don't believe the amount of time this art would last on the ground, as Chief is saying, would justify the cost of this work for us. We should visit this in the future after we work on all around curb appeal. And it says, hold on. Side note for a suggestion to you, landscaping can also be calming and long-lasting solution. I think our money can be used for other nature-driven projects. And that's it. That is, hold on, I'm gonna go up. That one was from
Are these direct
Zadia
messages?
Gomez, no.
These are direct messages. They're in the chat.
These are in the chat.
I don't see them.
Not see them either. I'd also like to offer the indirect response to landscaping comment that, you know, painted murals are, of course, only one creative art method of creating a traffic calming moment. But, you know, all over the place, we also see painted concrete barriers, painted really heavy cement planters. Creative solutions are everywhere. So if an asphalt mural is not the solution, there are infinite ways that we can still have rapid impact to protect our neighbors as much as possible, as quickly as possible, while adding sparks of creativity and joy and color with our community.
All righty, I think we've heard from just about everyone who wanted to make a comment. So hopefully we can make a decision tonight.
Okay.
Again, we're going to be discussing it. We're not taking any votes, but your project is definitely one we'll discuss.
Thank you, Wanda, and thank you for everyone for the feedback on 38th and for being open to an alternative.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And we're going to continue down our agenda. Next is old business, and we're at obligating the remaining ARPA funds. So this is open discussion for the commission. You want to give us the list of projects, proposed projects?
All right, so things that we have discussed in the past. We've got the Cottage City Police Department office furniture. We've got the professional multimedia integration for the message board. We have the 20-foot storage container for the police department. We're talking about new security features for the building. And the green team has asked for 20 to 25,000 for the remaining funds for the private property trees. And then, of course, we've got Chalk Riot in the mix of projects.
And all of these are listed? Or the costs are listed somewhere?
Costs are listed, some are listed here, and then we've got them also in the packet. You'll see it in the packet, and I gave you a folder with the contracts and things and the proposals.
Okay, we're gonna start with the commissioners, and I'm not sure where we want to start on this because I know some of this has already been purchased and it wasn't approved. Commissioner Brooks, did you have anything specific you want us to spend the funds on, or any questions you have for tonight?
I did just have all I hear is an echo, but I did have a question on the 20 to 25,000 from the green team. I mean, we're trying to get a grant, and if not, we'll try to get another grant. But if we allocate the funds, can we change them next year? If just randomly we got the grant, could we change the purpose of what we're going to spend that money on?
Once you're obligated, that's it. You're committed to it.
Thank you.
Any other questions, or was that your only question?
I think that was my.
Okay, Commissioner Givens.
So let me clarify. If you did create a line item for the 25,000 under the ARPA funds, and let's just say you were able to get a grant, you don't have to spend that money in the ARPA funds for that unless there's some stipulation that, I don't know if they can change that or not in the ARPA, but as far as the budgetary process, you do have the ability to spend the other funds and not use those funds. But I don't, I think that one of the things I think Wanda was referring to, it might be a hampering to it, is I think you have to have it all delved out as far as told where it's going to go by a certain date. So that might be the caveat that's problematic for that line items. But and so in regards to this other stuff on here, we and I can appreciate some of the things that every department wants everything for their department, right? But at the end of the day, we got to start thinking about our residents. And so, I mean, this is about, I get it. We buy a lot of stuff around here, a lot of cars, a lot of trucks. We have a lot of parties, but we don't really, give back, as we should. We need to start focusing on those things that are helpful to our community. And I think that, perhaps these trees are very expensive to do, on an individual basis. And so they continue to be left unattended to, and then that kind of creates a problem for the town later on, because if it falls in the street, the town's got to go and get it out of the street, or it breaks a line, shuts all the people's power off. So I'd like to be more focused to ensure that we provide funding for those things, like what the Green Team has asked for in that regard. I do support the storage container only because we got too much stuff lying around everywhere, and it's looking messy now. Town's starting to really look, bad, and so we're going to have to do something about getting these things tidied up and put away properly, but I don't see the cost on here, so before I delve into it any further, I'd like to see that. And so as far as the new building security system, entry system, I don't know what those costs are either. So, I mean, I don't see that. So I can't really speak to that, whether I think that that's appropriate at this time with the ARPA funds. So I yield back.
Thank you. So I know there's some folks who have their hands raised, and there's a few comments in the chat. Hold on, Chief. So I'm going to go around to the commissioners first, like I've been doing, and then we'll hear from the public and the staff if they have any comments. Huh? Okay. When we get to you. Okay. So, looking at the list of items that have been proposed, the one I have a question about is the building security. I did look at the two proposals that were received. One was 40,000 and I think the other one was 28,000. To me, that's very expensive for updating the doors and the windows. Is it possible that we could go and get, I don't know if we have enough time, but I really don't want to spend $40,000 on doors and windows. I just think that's a ridiculous amount of money. 28,000, I guess, is more reasonable. In regards to the trees and the green team, it'd be great if we could get the grant. We have spent quite a bit of money from ARPA funds in regards to the private property trees. We've given additional money to the maintenance in the budget line for just the trees in the town's right away. And we really, if you added it up, I think we've spent like $75,000 on trees. So we've definitely contributed more to our tree canopy than we have done in many, many years. So I don't know if I'm comfortable with the 20 to 25,000 for that one. Maybe lower it a little bit. The solar panel controller, is that like another message board or what is that?
No, we got a grant to upgrade our message board. The grant was to finish up the rest of the grant we have for security grant we had received a couple years ago. We had to spend the money. So we upgraded our message board to have a security system there, which we have a high-tech camera system on the message board. To hold that power, we had to upgrade our solar panel. The grant paid for the installation of everything except for the installation of that new panel and new controller. So that expense wasn't picked up by the grant, and we're trying to see we use the ARPA funds to actually absorb that cost. But the total price for the grant was how much we spent for that upgrade for the message board? Yeah, 12. So the grant was for 12. I'm sorry, but yeah, about 12,800 went toward the upgrade of that traffic device, and the only thing was left over that we couldn't fit in the grant was for the actual installation of the solar panel and the controller.
So you're talking about the trailer?
Yes, the trailer.
Okay. All right. And then the other one, which I can't see it on the screen, but the chalk rate, I do think that's a great idea. I do like the idea of bringing art to the community. Maybe we could scale it back a little bit once we figure out where we want to place the art. But I do think 30,000 is quite a lot of money to spend on something that I don't know if we're going to be responsible for maintaining, and it doesn't sound like it's going to last more than a couple of years without being touched up. And we won't have the ARPA funds after 2026, so that means that's going to be on our cost once the ARPA funds are gone. And then the other, I think that's it. I don't see that listed. Yeah, we did ask for those numbers, so we haven't received those. Okay, so I guess we can, maybe by next week when we actually take the vote, we'll get those numbers? Okay, all right. Okay, I'm gonna go to Commissioner Henderson.
Okay. I got quite a bit you said you're going to put more out on the cleaning services? The Phoenix cleaning services?
We're talking about the ARPA.
That's not coming from ARPA.
That's not coming from ARPA.
That's not coming from the ARPA funds. We're only talking about projects that would come. We're only speaking about projects that would come directly or be funded directly by the ARPA funds.
Oh, like
the
this.
cleaning service is something totally
How about
different.
the security?
That is anything that's on this list
Okay.
that's on the screen.
Security system, let's see, one of the companies, the one that was 31,729. Everon?
Everon.
Yeah, it says 5 years. But the thing was, I didn't know what they meant by 90-day warranty.
Yes, that's the reason why I want to talk first, so I could break it down and explain to you about these security companies. We had 3 companies come by and give us an estimate about the security of the building. This is not in the police department. It's something I was asked to do in reference to the safety of the building and the accessibility for when we have events here, and make sure that the building is locked up tight. Everon came up with a warranty of just a 90-day warranty, so that means that after 90 days, anything breaks, we have to eat that cost. The reason why I wanted to go with the other one called BizTech, which is under, oh man, Vicata. I have brain fart. Vicata is because they price out for the next 3 years in reference to the services in that price, as well as its 10-year warranty. That means anything breaks down within 10 years, they will come replace and repair for 10 years. And as well as you pay for your services for 3 years out. So that means we won't pay for another service until 2029. So we won't be paying any service fees. The other ones, their service fees are the same amount. The problem is they're lower because you don't pay it up front. You pay a monthly or a yearly prescription fees for the service, which will actually be a lot more 3 years out. 90 days, you don't have something wrong, I guarantee you. Camera might go down, you might have some service issues. Do you want to have only a 30-day window? I mean, a 90-day window for warranty. That's why I think BizTech is the best bang for our buck, using ARPA funds to actually move us to the future and making sure that the town is taken care of for the next 3 years and 10 years out in reference to warranties. That's why I want to go BizTech.
Thank you. I think you really answered what I was gonna, my next question was, Ricardo, what was their warranty period, but you...
Yeah, warranty is 10-year warranty.
Yeah, you just mentioned. Okay. I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Young.
Well, first off, I agree with you that we don't need to be spending that kind of money on a new security system. Yes. I really think that our primary task should be using as much of that money as possible to help out people who are in need and who may well be in need much more after January. So, you know, while some of these projects sound nice, my strong vote or recommendation or whatever would be to set aside as much as possible to help people who are in need every day and, you know, show up and you know, we need to help them. And I would rather spend this money on that than on a lot of these things, including the security system. You know, I don't know. It seems like we could probably get another grant for the tree maintenance program. Anyway, that's my view on it, and I hope we can do that because I really do think we need to think about what we're going to be looking forward to in terms of cutting back on the assistance that may now already go to people that will be cut back in the future.
Okay, thank you. There's a couple of comments in the chat. Can you please read them for the record?
Will do. Denise Hamler, we at Green Team can implement this program in spring, summer 2025. John, when will we know about the other grant you are writing? Denise Hamler, we know that the tree work is desperately needed for our stage 1 with private residents. Denise Hamler again, you have an entire public works building. Can you make space in there for more storage? Commissioner Brooks wrote to Denise Hamler, I will get you the date. If we did the 25,000 ARPA, does the town have enough tree work for both? Zadia writes, what is the timeline for the town to replace the trash shed? Maybe then, when that is replaced, we can start with artwork on the shed. Then Chelsea added the data representing the positive impact of the traffic calming artwork. Denise Hamler, we know that with the 25,000 can help 25 residents with major tree work. Denise Hamler, private property tree maintenance directly helps residents.
All right, so we have 2 hands raised. I'm gonna go in the order that I see them on the screen, starting with Amy, followed by Belinda.
Hi.
We can't hear you.
Hi. I just put it on audio. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I have just been informed. I've just heard that we are trying to outsource our public works department. I am very concerned about
Amy,
that.
Amy, we're not on that topic yet. We're talking about the ARPA funds. I think you might have skipped it. We're still on ARPA. We haven't gotten
Well,
to that.
I then for just ARPA funds, I am hoping that we can put some amount of money to translate meetings. More than 50% of our community are Spanish-speaking folks. I would like to propose that we translate everything, our meetings, our meeting minutes, all of the materials that everybody puts together, and see if more people are going to join. I would imagine it's a $30,000 or $40,000 commitment, but based on the census, we really owe it to everybody to invest. We cannot eliminate the majority of our citizens.
Thank you for your comment. We'll go next to Belinda.
Hello, I'm a resident of Ward 1. You mentioned earlier, Wanda, that there were some purchases made that were not already approved. These, and I think they're related to the ARPA funds, which kind of segues into my other question. In terms of the specific allowable usage for these funds, and as a resident, I've only been here 2 years. I'm not sure what the process was for engaging residents in term or soliciting ideas as to the use of these funds. So I think my larger question is, what is the process for this, the ARPA funds, getting feedback from residents as to what our needs are, to better direct the funds and to kind of co-sign what Commissioner Young was saying, that I think there are lots of people in need in the community. Amy, thank you for, I think it's a great suggestion to use some of this money for translation. I think residents are underinformed and really undersolicited in terms of giving ideas into, not just this ARPA money, but just things in general. So, question one being, how are purchases being made that aren't approved? Why did that happen? And then second, what is the process for soliciting buy-in from residents on projects such as ARPA funds, and where can we start to make suggestions and if we have ideas outside of these meetings.
Okay, thank you for both of your questions. I'm going to ask the town manager to answer your first question, and then I'll answer your second.
There was, I think, I know during the last meeting, there was, I think, a miscommunication where items were purchased, such as some furniture that was purchased for the police department that was not, had not been, they did not understand that the money had not all been obligated by the commission. And so those furniture purchases have been made. And we're still having discussions about the rest of the items, but I will let residents know that the furniture already has been purchased.
Okay, when you say you'll let residents know, because that's part of my question here of feeling underinformed as a resident. Because I try to keep up on the meetings. There haven't been any newsletters online accessible. I personally don't get them by mail for whatever reason. So where's the repository online or accessible to residents who miss these meetings in terms of just kind of what's going on with our tax dollars as residents?
Well, I can tell you we always post the meetings, agendas, and items are on the website. We also send out constant contact to residents regarding the meetings. So the information in the packets the information in the packet is also put on the website as well as I send it out on constant contact. So the items are available, and that's the best place you can get the information regarding town information.
Right. I just think that there's an excessive amount of minutes missing from online. So I don't know if there's just been an issue with getting them. I don't know if someone can maybe review that, the minutes that are posted and accessible to us on the website.
I appreciate you bringing that up. I will tell you.
They're missing.
Yep. I will bring that up to you. I started June 10th. And I'm working right now trying to get my office manager in place. We currently have an intern in place, and that hopefully is going to happen very shortly. And the first job that they're going to have is working on getting the minutes caught up.
And that's very important. Thank you.
It is, and I agree with you.
Because it's impacts some of these decisions that you make as commissioners are. They impact our tax dollars, as Amy mentioned, outsourcing public works. What will that mean for us in terms of our tax dollars? I just, with, me and my partner, we want to participate. We want to be included in decisions make. You guys represent us. Our commissioners represent us. And so we just want to make sure that there's a line of communication happening. And as far as the ARPA fund, someone mentioned last week a tool share. So for items like that were proposed, do you guys discuss that as commissioners? Have there been other proposals made? Is there a list of things that have been proposed in the past? I didn't see anything in the minutes. I don't know how far back this discussion about usage of fund goes for ARPA, but how long do we have to make final decisions? And can we compile a list? Even just like a Google sheet or something that is live, to get residents, to give them the ability to make real proposals that can be considered.
You're welcome to send things to me. I'm happy to field whatever you'd like with and making sure it gets to the commissioners.
Okay, great. But also this is a grant, so I don't want to send a bunch of things that aren't allowed under this grant. How do I know what's allowable, just more in terms of, what the specific ARPA, the allowable expenses for this, so that I'm sending you viable suggestions? Well,
If it's something that we need to bring before the commission, I think that's something I just need to see. And then I can, I'm happy to meet with you and we can talk about it if you'd like to.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's great. And I think just so I don't bring up another comment, generally, even in relation to this, someone who's not on this call, who maybe just, didn't see minutes, is a resident. And then as Amy mentioned, a lot of Spanish speakers who just don't know what's going on. They can't, even if there were up-to-date minutes, they're excluded unintentionally. So I think there really needs to be a more effective method in place for informing and engaging residents of the community. Just as an aside, sorry to kind of wedge that in there, but we do have to think about as a community how to get some sort of survey or Google Sheet, even SurveyMonkey, so that residents at large can participate a little more in these decisions.
I appreciate you saying that, and I will tell you that I'm very sensitive to that issue, and on Constant Contact and Facebook, social media, I'm very good about making sure that we do provide the English Spanish as well when we put it out there. To translate the entire meeting agenda, yes, I think you're right. We'll look at that and we'll see what steps we can do to do that more. And hopefully having an office manager now in place, we can maybe do that. That's something we need to explore going down the road.
Yeah, outside of translation, just communicating with residents and at large, and more, just more accessible things outside of these town hall meetings. As people work, they can't always be dialing in, and ways for them to engage and participate that don't just rely on a newsletter or calling into Zoom.
Thank you.
Could I just follow up?
Hold on, because she had two questions and John
I'm
only
sorry, go ahead.
answered the first one.
Go ahead.
I offered to answer the second one unless you would like to answer.
No, I was just going to say, feel free to contact me also at Ward 1 at cottagecitymd.gov.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Givens, I see your hand, so give me a second. So your second question was in regards to how is it communicated to the residents in regards to the ARPA spending and the funding that we received? So I believe you said you moved here 2 years ago. We actually received the funding in 2022 it's a federal grant. And when we first received the money, we did put out surveys. We put out surveys on our website. We held meetings. We actually had a meeting maybe about a year ago where we had residents come in and we had a town hall and they could voice their opinions on what they thought the money should be spent on. So we did do surveys, we did town halls, we constantly put it in the newsletter in regards to asking for input. I don't know, or I can't really address the issue with you not receiving the newsletters in Ward 1. I know there's an issue with the post office that is out of our hands and it's beyond our control. We've tried to address it and we are looking at other ways to address it. We recently purchased a postage stamp machine so that we can put the physical address on the newsletters moving forward so we don't have to rely on the post office. We'll make sure that the newsletters are getting delivered in Ward 1. In regards to the other thing in regards to making sure that information is provided in English and Spanish, most of the newsletters are in English and Spanish. If you look at the articles, one side will be the English side and the opposite side will be the Spanish side. So we really, really try our best to make sure that we are providing information in both languages. Also on our website, we have a feature where if you speak another language, I believe we have over 100 different languages where you can just click on the button and it will translate the whole website into whatever language you speak. So if you speak French, you can switch it to French. If you speak Spanish, if you speak Chinese, if you speak Russian, German, anything, all of those options or languages are available on our website. All you have to do is just click, I think it's in the upper right-hand corner. If you click on that, you can translate our entire website into whatever language you would prefer. So we do try our best to make information available in as many ways as possible. We try to be as transparent as we possibly can. But of course, we're not gonna always meet the goal because sometimes, you just don't do if you don't know, you don't know. So it's good that people are bringing it to our attention so we can do better. Let's see. I know there's some comments in the chat, but I see Commissioner Givens, you have your hand raised. So I'm gonna turn the floor over to you and then we'll read the remaining comments into the record. Commissioner Givens.
Yes. thank you for your comments, ma'am. I can appreciate a lot of the things you say, valid, I have no qualms about, but what a lot of residents don't understand is that guy sitting right there in the red shirt, he just got here and he's been amazing. Oh, and in regards to what he's been able to accomplish in such a short period of time. People are going to have to give us some time he's got the ideas. He's trying to put things in place, and they're not just going to be overnight. You don't know that. I get it. And I'm not here to blame you for that, or anything, but understanding that we did have the newsletter online at one time. Can you guys still hear me? My screen went out. Okay. We had the newsletter online at one time in a PDF format, but people, we don't run the day-to-day activities here. So over a period of time, for whatever reason, maybe they just didn't have the manpower, I know at one time to continue to backfill some of these responsibilities and duties. So that kind of got dropped off. I anticipate that'll get picked back up because that's, but somebody's got to do the work, and it's going to take a person to do that. And John's working to get those staff in place and those responsibilities. In regards to, the other caveat, another form of information, one of the reasons why we're here today with the other gentleman in the other room during the Zoom thing is we anticipate putting these things back on, like Palmer Manor has, on YouTube. So you can watch it or listen to it whenever you want to. Cottage City will have a YouTube channel because we've had those discussions. So we are making strides in those efforts towards these things. But, somebody's got to do the work. It takes a person. Again, not here to blame you. I think you don't know that. And you got great ideas, and we need to be reminded of those things. But I want you to know that we're not dismissive. We're not just sitting back, coming here once a month, to these meetings. We are actively involved in trying to communicate these things out. Much like Wanda said, a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes, and John is enacting that are taking us forward. And it's important that we continue to provide information to the residents. And in regards to translating everything in Spanish, the newsletter was very important. One time, of course, they didn't even do that here in Cottage City. And I'm happy to see we're able to get that accomplished. But again, it takes manpower and associated costs, So we're working in direction of trying to keep everybody informed. And like Wanda said, we did have the ARPA thing. The reason why you see us here today having this discussion on this $137,000 is because we were kind of brought to our attention maybe, a month ago or so, and says, hey, we got to go ahead and delegate these funds out. And we don't have a lot of time. We got to do it before the end of the year. So that's kind of why we're at this mad dash trying to get some things taken care of, and in regard to that, to the remaining $137,000 out of the $1.2 million that we've had allocated to us. So that's kind of why, there's no survey monkey going out for, because it's kind of like last minute, right? You got it. And there's things that the town desperately needs, we need to, be considerate of. And I think, if you ask the people on the green team, they don't have no problem asking for what they want. So they've been here. They've been having meetings and engaging the council, the commission, I should say, and I implore you to do that as well. If you have a passion or something that you'd like to see put in time, have that conversation with the town manager and have it put on the agenda, bring it forth, because we don't have all the ideas. But no, some of these things will require some of your guys as residents assistance in regards to. Green Team's done a lot of work. They didn't just ask for a bunch of money. They've been doing the work behind the scenes in order before they even come to ask for, and then along the way. So they don't just make requests, because that's easy to do, but it always takes someone to carry these things out. So we'll need your help too. So, if you got something you're passionate about and the commission is interested in it, we might ask you to, give us a hand. Hey, can you, create, a committee on it, and let's move forward to seek that out and get these things done if we're supportive of it. So, again, I digress. And I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Givens. So we have several comments in the chat. We're going to read those into the record, but we do need to go into closed session tonight. It is 8:30, and I don't want us to go too long because we do have some people who have to get up and go to work in the morning, meeting being one. So if we could just kind of keep our comments, our questions under, let's say, 3 minutes, so we can make sure that everyone is being heard. You want to read the comments now?
All right, Diana Gillespie. Also maybe consider upgrading town signage at the borders and improve the lighting in the streets. Chelsea Ritter has written data representing positive impacts of traffic calming artwork. Next, we have Chelsea. Here are the anecdotes for folks that had asphalt art in their communities. Zadia Gomez has written, is the street tree project just to cut down trees or to plant trees for cutting? There is a company that will price the cost per day versus charging per each tree, and this may reduce costs and maximize the number of trees that are removed. Next, Diana Gillespie. The town should also consider getting a texting service since most people access the internet through their phones. Laura Gouchard has written, I echo your sentiments and appreciate the questions you are asking. Next, we have Clarissa has written, my grandmother, resident of 40 years, has told me that the mailed bilingual newsletters come after the fact or too soon to the deadline to the city has done things they are asking opinions on. So I think timely physical newsletters for older and non-English speaking residents will make a difference. Next, Amy Sawyer. Absolutely, and Belinda, please reach out to me. Amy Sawyer, our council should represent the community. Caleb has written, which is why it's critical that meeting minutes and all agenda items are available on the website. Kevin Best, I may be preaching to the choir, but this meeting is going to be so long with the closed portion. Oh, never mind. Going on. Commissioner Givens said, those people don't want to run. When I brought up an effort to encourage Spanish-speaking folks, Denise Hamler, reminder, the commissioners come up for re-election every 2 years. Caleb, when it was the last election? Wanda, you responded, we have an election every year. The last election was May 2024. Next election is May 2025. Denise Hamler, I agree. Ward 1 and at-large seats are up in May. Important to note, if anyone is running, you have to certify in late March. Important step. Amy Sawyer, let's spend some money to translate everything and also take some data points. Who will attend? Zadia Gomez, nice. I didn't know the citywide website had a translation option. That's awesome. I honestly never seen our website. Maybe this should be advertised on the digital bulletin board at the town stop sign. Visit to get the latest updates with city news. And I think that is them. Yep. And I will say that we are getting a new website. The website hopefully will be launched early of January of 2025. We've got a whole refresh of the website.
Ben, you have a question or comment? No, we're going to follow the agenda. Sorry? We're going to follow the agenda. Anyone else have their hand raised? No?
I have my hand raised.
Okay, go ahead, Amy.
So I'm very concerned. I just learned that the town is going to outsource public works.
We're still not on that agenda item, Amy. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Anyone else have their hand raised in regards to ARPA funds? If not, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is rebuild of the town trash and recycling receptacle. And that's up for discussion. I don't know.
I put this on here. I'm still waiting for, I thought we were going to get a quote from Long Fence today, and we did not get the quote today. So we probably will just table this option till the regular meeting, which would be fine.
Is everyone, meaning commissioners, in agreement to table this, the trash receptacle?
Givens, I'm okay with it.
Okay, thank you. All right. So moving on, we're under new business, and now we're talking about contracts. And so we are at the point where we'll be discussing the outsourcing of the Public Works Department. Mr. Holton, I'm gonna turn that one over to you.
Okay. I want to start off by saying that in looking at the town and hearing various information from commissioners, as well as talking about issues with town taxes being raised and that sort of thing, we're trying to look at, you know, how do we cut costs, how do we fix things, how do we realign some items. I will state, starting off, that there are some employee issues that, of course, we cannot divulge here in open session. Those are items that are discussed in closed session. But we are taking steps to hopefully to align the town, you know, and put the town in a good position. I know it's not an easy conversation to be had with some of the steps that we're going to be hopefully taking. But we are looking at saving $173,000 for the town by doing these steps. We are already outsourcing a lot of our items already, such as grass cutting, things of that sort. So we are getting in line with other municipalities that are doing this type of thing. So with that, I have 3 contracts to put forth tonight. One is for the leaves, the other one is for snow removal, and the other one is for town hall cleaning. And staff has been informed. Yesterday, we needed to start this process. The way the process was started was we informed staff of what's happening with their positions. I don't know what has been shared with residents, so we have, and of course, like I said, some things we cannot share in open session, but the next step is to look at the contracts, and then, of course, at the next meeting, we would go ahead and approve these contracts.
Alrighty, before we take public comments, we're going to hear from the commissioners, as we have been following all night. I don't see any hands raised, so did you want to present anything else before you hear from the commissioners?
I think we're good.
Actually, could I say something on the leaf blown?
Well, we're going to start with you first, Commissioner Brooks, and then we're going to work our way backwards. Go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you. So the only thing with the leaf cleaning, the quote says residents not, it depends on residents not blowing their leaves into the streets. This has always been encouraged, and you know, with a lot of large oak trees around town, like I don't feel like it's right for town trees to be dropping that many leaves on people's properties and then putting the onus on the owner to then have to clean all that up. So personally, I think it's something we should take a look at.
I definitely
That's
will,
it.
and I'll get with American Landscaping and have them adjust that for us.
Thank you.
Anything else, Commissioner Brooks?
No, nothing for me.
Thank you. Commissioner Givens?
So in regards to, I've been doing this a long time. I've been around the town. I've seen everything they tried to do with this leaf collection situation. I was here when we didn't have a leaf collection system. So understanding the outsourcing of things, i.e. the leaf collection, is right now they're only doing 4 hours of leaf collection a day. Okay? And so if you get 4 out of the 5 days, that's probably more realistic. It would be nice to have 5 out of 5 days, but that's really not effective and efficient. Meanwhile, leaves continue to fall. You know, when it rains, you know, you can't factor that in because they won't pick them up because they're too heavy. if you outsource it, just like cutting the grass, it used to take our public works department 3 days to cut the grass around the town. If somebody called out, now that pushes it back, So these types of things occur, or if it rains, that pushes it, in one of those 3 days, that messes them up, So and it kind of pushes everything back. Outsourcing this type of thing is more efficient. Those guys come and cut that grass in a matter of hours. They don't even take a whole day. They're out of here and they're moving on to the next job. We don't pay additional benefits and so on and so forth, equipment, maintenance, or workman's comp and all that things associated. So those are great savings. In addition to that, in regards to the leaf collection, they'll collect all those leaves in one day. If they collect leaves, i.e. on something like a schedule, perhaps like a Tuesday and a Friday, they pick all the leaves up in one day. So the town would look a lot nicer. And if it rained, they're going to factor that in. That's really not on us. You know what I'm saying? Whether if they have 10 guys out here or if they have 5 guys out here, they'll get it done in a day. And those types of things are important. And that's the same thing goes with the snow removal. It's important that people have the ability to get up and go to work in the morning, and, because even if it snows, some people still got to go. If we have these outsourcing services, again, there's a cost-effective saving measure there because, again, they can have multiple trucks on the street and getting it knocked out. So there's a number of things that our responsibility as commissioners is to ensure the effectiveness and the cost savings to the town, the taxpayer dollars. That's who's got to pay for them. Right now, again, a lot of people don't realize this is not personal. This is business. At the end of the day, if you don't know, you don't believe me, you don't trust me, come to next week's meeting. Ask the accountant, what is the shortfall? What is what they call a structural deficit? The town is operating in one. The only reason that you'll be saved that from this year is because they failed to put back those positions that people have left, i.e. the office manager has been gone for a number of months. So that's a cost savings. That goes back into the kitty. So it won't show but if everybody had came to work and we had the full staffing and everything like that, I want to say it was either 230,000 or 330,000 that you got to take that money from somewhere. And that money comes out of your savings, right? And you can only sustain that for so long. So you got to do a couple of things. You got to get more revenue in, which we don't have the ability to really do that, or, one of the reasons to do that is through taxes. Raise your taxes. Your taxes are lower. Your municipal taxes are lower here in the town of Cottage City than our sister town across the street. They're doing things too. They're on the move. People complaining and, about their tax rate, but they also have a great, ability to do a number of things. It costs money to do all these things. And along the way, we have to be able to be more efficient in the way we do things, And so it's important that we look at things and you know what? Later on down the line, if it doesn't work out, well, we'll have to address that. We'll have to revisit that. But right now, like John has said, other towns have begun in this direction, and he can tell you those other towns as he presented to us those other towns. And it's important that we try it out because at the end of the day, while you might not like the fact that we're going to outsource, i.e. Amy Sawyer, who clearly has stipulated that here today, what you don't realize is that there's an immense savings here, and that other people in the town don't necessarily want their taxes raised. You might be okay with it because, you're at an age where you can still continue to grow and make more money. But we got a lot of people who are barely scratching by, who are seniors, who are on a fixed income, who really can't afford for their taxes to be raised any higher. I'm not necessarily looking for my taxes to be raised any higher. I can afford it. My tax is $4,000. Some of my neighbors is $5,000. She ain't happy about that. So, again, we're looking at these things in a way that we can continue to provide city services, and save the town, money and stuff like that. And again, like John has stipulated, there are other, things that are involved here that we're not privy to discuss because the personnel matters. And that really has, and we can't discuss them with you, and we're not going to discuss them to anyone in the public because that would be inappropriate. And so, the mere fact that, and this is I'm telling you from my perspective, the mere fact that someone, and I don't know who, to my understanding, a petition went around and someone knocked on your door, Amy Sawyer, and gave you a petition, about this is inappropriate. You're on the town's dime. You're at work, on duty, going around doing things that are detrimental to the cost savings thing to the town. You're an employee. That's inappropriate. Now, you forget the personal matter, keep it business, because at the end of the day, we are running a semi-type business here. We're not trying to make any money, but we're trying to survive in an environment that doesn't see us lay off 12 people in one day like C. Pleasant did. When they came in, they laid off 12 people in one day. We're not trying to affect people like that. And so, we want to continue our police services, which is our most expensive thing in the town. We spend more money on the police department than any other department. We want to continue that. That's important for our safety of our community, and we want to continue that. And again, we need to continue to be more efficient. So I yield back, and thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Givens. In an effort to save time, I'm going to yield my time to Commissioner Henderson.
Okay, I just have questions on some of the contract, and Brooks, Commissioner Brooks mentioned the one thing about the leaves. It had the proposal price was based on residents not dumping leaves into the street, and but you said you'll look into that. Yeah. Okay, and then the other thing was about snow removal. Yes. And where they putting down salt and ice storms. Do we have to call them and pay them $105 per hour, hoping that they can accommodate us on their schedule? Okay, that's.
We'll be their only client when it comes to snow.
Okay.
So we will be their top priority. So
Okay.
It's not like they're going to be doing it. They're doing it for the town.
Okay.
That's the question I had also.
Okay. One more question was, out of the two cleaning services for the building,
Okay.
in Cottage City, the Phoenix cleaning services, to me, they didn't give up enough details for this, what type of service they're going to do. But the unique cleaning solution, I think, was very good.
Yeah, I was going to ask Phoenix to go back and revise for the next meeting for the regular town meeting, because we do want to add in here cleaning out the refrigerator, because we think that that's an essential thing.
Yeah, and
there's some other things.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, because the unique cleaning solution had more detail for, and services, and also comprehensive on details. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Young. Yeah, I have a few things to say. And I guess the first thing that struck me when this round of conversation started is by making references to not saying anything about employees and their records, you are sort of saying that and you're sort of insulting them. And I think that that's wrong. And I think it's untrue. You imply that there are problems, which everyone might not agree with. Second, we could contract out a lot of things if we didn't care about having human beings. Our town is human beings. And as far as I have seen, our employees do a good job. They may not cross every T the way every single commissioner or town manager might want to see it crossed, but communication, effective communication, can usually resolve differences of opinion. And I really do think that our employees have been great for us, and they've worked hard for us. And I really can't emphasize that enough. I'm sure there are things that I'm not thinking of to say here. Oh, there was one other thing, at least one other thing. In terms of saving money, we've spent an awful lot of money on this building. Personally, I would rather see the money spent on human beings who can address situations as they arrive. We don't have to call a company and find out whether they can come over on a certain day to do X, Y, Z. If we have regular employees fulfilling these functions, to me, that's much more valuable. The human is more valuable to me. And I'm sad that we've gone in the direction that we have, and I'm hoping that maybe, given if there are enough people out there expressing a different opinion, that we'll listen to them. If I've overlooked anything and it comes to mind, I'll raise that later on.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, there are several comments in the chat, and then we'll take the hands that are raised. Make sure your mic is on. Someone said your mic wasn't on.
Let me go find the ones I need. Okay, let's start here. Zadia Gomez says, hello, please repeat the cost savings estimate. Zadia Gomez, don't quote me on it. I believe it is around $125,000. It's $135,000. Abel Nunez, contractors only do what they are contracted for, as far as Commissioner Givens stated, but staff also take on other responsibilities covering events, dumpster days, Cottage City Day, etc. Has the commission considered who will take on those tasks? Let's see, up here. I lost my, something came in, hold on one second. Buying an unnecessary building for $120,000 over budget. Other towns are failing with this. To sell that building you overspent for, it's going to cost us more. Next, Abel says, is this an issue of hiring appropriate staff that has clear job responsibilities? Previous issues discussed today spoke to the issue of having a more deeper relationship that town staff should develop with town residents. Contractors will not do that work. Next, Amy Sawyer, shame on you, Commissioner Givens, to belittle the staff of Cottage City. What do I have to raise money for translation if the town is opposed to it? We need to fund translation to Spanish. We need to fund translation. Next, Abel says, I don't think a department should be scapegoated when the commission has hired town manager that has been less than impressive and may have caused the current situation. Artist says, I agree with Ann and Abel wholeheartedly. Commissioner Givens, Nunez, there will be part-time public work maintenance worker. And Amy Sawyer, so super annoying to have the comments just read in a stream, really. You can't read them as actual comments. Please give the comments a little more seriousness. And that's it.
Okay. I see your hand again, but we also have some folks who have their hands raised. So I'm going to start with Belinda, then Caleb, then Amy, then Zadia. We'll go in that order. So Belinda.
Hey guys, in the town hall, we can't really hear you online.
I am so sorry. I apologize. I did not have my mic on. I apologize. So we're going to go with the folks who had their hands raised in the Zoom. We're going to go with Belinda first, followed by Caleb, Amy, and then Zadia, and then we'll hear from the residents or public in the meeting room. So Belinda, you can have the floor first.
Hi again. Commissioner Young, you mentioned that there will be a $173,000 savings. I'm assuming that's an annual savings, and then just assuming again that the outsourced work is contracted. How many years, if this is an annual savings amount, are we expecting to have? Like, are the contracts for what is the average contract period?
That wasn't me. That was not Commissioner Young.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It was the first. I guess I think it was the first commissioner who spoke.
It's the town manager.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's $135,000 a savings for the year. And like I said, the contracts will run for this year, and then we'll reevaluate it after we see what we've achieved or what we've done. If we feel the services are adequate, maybe we'll proceed forward with doing it, continue it. But if not, we may look at doing something differently, but we're going to hopefully give it a try.
Okay. And then I think Commissioner Givens mentioned that we are operating at a deficit as a town. Not to go into how this has happened, I'm sure it's just years and years of whatever. But based on this saving, I think he mentioned $230,000 of a deficit, or this savings now will narrow that gap that we have. And I mean, are we looking into other areas that we could cut, like in terms of what Commissioner Young has said about things we are just spending money on, events we're spending money on, other cost saving measures that people may not really appreciate as much as just basic needs that we could provide in the town? I'm assuming this savings will go toward, narrowing the gap in the deficit. Is that correct? Fully?
That is correct, and we'll also be looking at other ways to cut cost. This is just the start. So I can tell residents and commissioners alike, there will be other proposals that will be made, and we will rein in the purse strings. That is our goal.
Okay, yeah, and I think just to harp on what I was saying earlier, I mean, it's very important, that I wouldn't want to learn, someone came around today, as we all know, we don't want to learn things this way somehow, whether it was in a newsletter I missed or it just was not communicated to me as a resident that we were making this transition. Somehow I missed that. So, this seems to be thematic of me missing things that are happening hastily, and then me learning after the fact that it's already been decided upon.
Ma'am,
It was not told to the residents.
Right. So allow me to speak to that,
right.
ma'am. Melinda, there's a process in which, a proper process, a legal process in which we must respect, i.e. the informing the staff, the affected staff, as well as the entire staff, right? And then at that point, it would be inappropriate for us to go out and tell everybody first and not tell the staff. Right? That would be wrong. Right? So we have to do that first. So this is the first meeting we've had in order to be able to address this. We haven't even made an official vote on it as of yet, but although we've had closed meetings in reference to give him the direction to do that, and the support is there to move forward with it. And knowing that, we have to prepare for these things. We have to be able, so it's not like a willy-nilly type deal that we kind of just jump out there and we're not going to notify you. That was coming. But people have to give the process time. This is the first, again, that, the staff was just notified a couple of days ago, or yesterday. I don't even know what's today, Tuesday, Monday, And so with that said, this is the first town's work session. And in actuality, we don't take any votes here. The citizens will be informed formally at the next work session. So, and again, in regards to, we're about to go into the budget in February, I believe, or sometime in late January, and I implore you to come to those budget meetings. But I want everyone to understand here, we already run a tight budget. I mean, a tight budget. And, are there some things we can cut? But we're probably going to have to cut some things that we don't necessarily want to cut, because we can't continue to operate in a deficit, out of a deficit. And we can talk about, I saw someone wrote in there, well, we don't need to have a community center. Well, that's your opinion. You're one person. I saw somebody wrote that in the chat. Out of a town of 1,300 people who came to a meeting in regards to, before we purchased the building, and gave overwhelming support. So, and I can appreciate the fact that, people have concerns, but we're not out here trying to open that building tomorrow either and just spending the town funds. We have a timeline that we segue to probably 3 to 5 years, in which give us time to be able to raise proper funding through different grant sources and bond bills and so on and so forth. So it wouldn't be a burden on your tax dollars, but yet an asset to the town to provide city services to our residents. Something that's long lasting, something that's a legacy. I'm tired of buying a bunch of stuff that sits around, that you as residents don't benefit necessarily from, and that's not right. As a taxpayer, I think that's wrong, as a tax, because some of you act like we ain't taxpayers, and we're taxpayers too. That's why we're on the council, on the commission, in order to be able to not only save you money and be more effective, but to save us money as a taxpayer dollar as well. So again, we're doing things. The chief has the chief has sought out a lot of grants for a lot of things he's been able to put in place. We've been able to provide grants for that, the outreach center up there, and so some of you may not want that. But at the end of the day, our responsibility is to give back to the residents. It's not easy doing this job. Anybody that wants to do this, feel free to run. And let me tell you something. You have a wide awakening as to what it really takes to do this job and the hard decisions you have to make. And they're not always easy. It's not personal. You can take it personal. I don't care. Amy Sawyer, you mad at me and says I'm whatever. It doesn't bother me. You're not going to affect me by that, because I'm going to do what I got to do, in order to do what's right for the town. Because that's where my loyalty lies, and so I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Givens. I believe Caleb, you were next, followed by Sadia. Caleb, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. So I just want to push back a little bit. I appreciate all the work you do, the entire, the board and the town manager, but ultimately you are elected representatives. So I think a theme from this meeting is keep doing the great work you're doing, but let there be a little bit more of engagement. The reason we keep stressing the newsletter is because that was the only source of us knowing what was happening. We stopped getting that. And again, I'm not saying it's your issue, that's a postal issue in Ward 1. Then there's the website, right? That needs refurbishing. There's meeting minutes missing from it. There haven't been videos loaded since July 2023 of the town hall sessions. I had no idea that there was a community service being built. My tax dollars were going towards that. Segueing into the current issue, I think we're kind of minimizing public staff, because my public facing with the town since I moved here has been with the public works staff. Yes, I talked to someone that came today, but that's emblematic of the past 2 years. The people I interacted with were those staff members, were the public works staff. So I think there's a human touch, because tomorrow we could say arbitrarily, hey, crime is relatively low. Statistics show that this isn't a crime-ridden area. Why not outsource the police department? Because we need our own police department. We've seen what the chief does. We've seen the camps they run. There's something more than carrying a gun in a badge. They're part of this community, and there's a human element in having your own public work staff, your own public civil servants that serve the community. That's my comment. I also had a couple questions. Commissioner Gibbons mentioned that sister cities are doing similar things in terms of contracting out work. Which towns in particular have contracted public works? That's one question. Second question, if I can, is how would this affect the current tempo of pickups, et cetera? Third question, and I promise it's my last. Are there ways to retrain and redelegate the public works staff so they can do things in addition to what they currently do? The police staff does community engagement. They host events. They have a summer camp for kids. Are there things that the public works staff can do, you can add to their docket in addition to what they're doing now to justify the cost? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Caleb. You had, I believe, 3 questions. Mr. Holston will answer those for you.
I can share that the town of Edmonston, which is one of our sister port towns, is already doing the outsourcing of public works. That is actually where I had discovered the information about this. And with regard to pickups, there should be no difference with pickups or things of that sort. And we are still retaining a public works employee to be maintenance. That is still going to be on staff, and we are still having a code compliance officer on staff as well. We are just changing their position from full-time to part-time to save the town money.
Hopefully that answered your questions, Caleb. Next, we'll hear from Sadia, and then Amy Sawyer, and then we'll go to the room. Ms. Gomez, are you still there? You're muted. Ms. Gomez? Going once, going twice. Okay, maybe we'll come back. Amy, you have the floor.
Yeah, hi. I am a 7-year resident in Cottage City. I am very opposed to outsourcing our public works folks. I can't even imagine how we're even processing this. But for sure, if that's a decision that the town is going to make, then we need to reach out to the entire town and ask them. It's not okay. We're not okay to just eliminate our public works department. If it is a community discussion, then we need to have that published in the town newsletter. We need to put out information in Spanish to all of our residents and then have a vote. I appreciate what John is trying to do. And if we can get a community budget, that would help. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Amy, for your comment. Next is Belinda.
Hi, I just wanted to respond. I don't think we closed the loop on my question here. So I know Commissioner Gibbons mentioned that what I understood from his comments, the catalyst for us transitioning from public works outsourcing is because of a personnel issue that you guys just learned of a few days ago, which is why we hadn't come to know that this was happening. I think where I'm unclear is the town manager mentioned that this was a decision based off of a measure for cost savings, which I took to mean that this is something that had been in the works for a few weeks. As such, you had time to, look over contracts and even figure out who you make transition to. So that's why I was, asking about, maybe why we hadn't been informed earlier. So to clarify my question, you learned about this is a personnel issue that you learned of a few days ago, and that's why we weren't aware or able to know sooner. And I do understand legal reasons. I just want to understand why, kind of the timeline of this decision to transition.
So let me answer that question, ma'am. And when I said a personnel matter, when we deal with staffing in regards to the reorganization, that's a personnel matter. That's not something that we go to you as a public and ask, what do you think? Should we hire should we hire code enforcement? But what a lot of you guys don't even know, Public Works was always part-time. I actually was the one who advocated to bring Public Works on full-time. I also was the one who advocated, because I saw that a lot of things weren't getting done that needed to be done, to let American Landscaping pick up, start cutting the grass, take that off their back so that we can get some other projects completed around the town. And some of those projects were completed, some of them weren't, And so, again, and so when I say it's a personnel matter, yeah, and it's a process, a personnel process. When they're notified of this, then we as residents, as commissioners, we have to let you all know to be transparent. And that's done through a vote, a public vote. And so that's what we'll be doing next week, So, I mean, I can appreciate, all of your comments and concerns and questions, but, a lot of you guys, are not here on a day-to-day basis. A lot of you guys don't even know things that, like I saw a comment that was made by Amy Sawyer, and I'll say her name because she's called me out. What have I done for the town? Trust me when I tell you, you don't really know all the things that I've done, the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that I've saved for the town. From before the chief got here, who do you think did the events? I did them, along with myself and other commissioners did them. And then Public Works picked up, they got involved. And then the chief has taken over that task, so that we can focus on other things that are trying to put forth beneficial to the community, And sometimes when things don't work, we have to try some other things, So it's incumbent upon us to be able to be flexible. And this is, look, you've had 3 different town managers. All of them have said the same thing. All of them. We need to reorganize. There are things that we need to do, decisions we need to make, and they won't be pretty. They won't be easy. But we need to do them for the sustainability of the town. That's important. People can sit back and Monday morning quarterback us all they want to. Run for office, sit in this seat. There's a seat coming up in Ward 1. I implore you, jump in there, join, see what's really going on, see how you can be effective. That's what we need, and I get it, Again, this is not personal. People taking it personal, You only got 2 people in Public Works anyway, so one of them's part-time. So, you have one full-time person and one part-time person. You know what I'm saying? So we're just eliminating one position typically, basically. And code enforcement was never a full-time position. It was never supposed to be a full-time position. It was advocated for. It was always a part-time position. Chief advocated for it, along with some other things. that we can make that, to make it work and we can afford it. But we tried it for a couple of years, and we're up against this. We're up against this thing. I voted to raise your taxes last year. Other commissioners said no. You know what the accountant said? He says, well, Commissioner Gibbons right. Well, you can probably skate by it this year, but you're going to have to raise the taxes next year, because you're in a deficit. We can't continue to, everybody wants to just dismiss that, Yeah, well, you can't continue to operate like that. That doesn't work like that, because when you start making cuts, most people who got the most people, when there's no more cuts to be made, are in the police department because they have the most personnel. I don't want to make any cuts in the police department. We just, last year, what you don't realize is we just gave them an actual pay rate for, what's the name? An established pay rate. That cost the town thousands of dollars, thousands. But in order to be able to retain those officers, we felt like we had to do something, right? So these are decisions, tough decisions, financial decisions, that have to be made, because everybody, 67%, if I'm not mistaken, of a town budget comes from people. It's not assets, it's not cars, it's not buildings, it's people. It's not the general operating costs, it's people, because you don't have to buy a car, there's basic operating costs. And based on those basic operating costs, we're in a structural deficit. If everybody comes to work, if we're fully staffed, and we just do the bare minimum. So we got to address it. So I yield back.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Givens. Hopefully, Belinda, that addressed your question. I'm going to circle back to Zadia. Hopefully you can come off of mute. Zadia, are you still there?
Hi.
Hi.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My perspective on going private, when I look at our town from a property manager stand of view, when I drive through the city and I see things that are broken and I see, items that are left on the street, I see broken glass, that I am one to continuously have to call the city to report things that I see driving by day after day after day. And for those reasons, I am not against going with a contractor because of this. I do property management and I had a staff for 15 years. When my company said we're going to go private, I had the same heart attack as I'm hearing right here. I was like, no, it's not personal. I don't want to, I want my own staff. And we went private. And one advantage that we had was when the staff came that was not doing their work, I could call and the next day someone else would come. Until I got that individual that now has been with us 4 years. He still feels like family and he's doing an awesome job. So going private doesn't always mean that we're going to see a new face every day. They do become part of the team. And the best part about it is that you just had the opportunity to almost have live interviews. People were coming, they were working on the property. And when it didn't work out, I just had to address it with the company. And there's no difficulty in switching the person that's going to do the best job. So it doesn't have to become like, because we think of a contractor, that it's going to be someone that's not going to become a part of our community again, but it's just going to be someone that is going to do the job to the fullest extent. This community is too small for us to go by 43rd Street with a stop sign that you could barely see in the dark that has been like that, probably because I forgot to call it in every time I see it. So to me, I don't think that this community, this town is being kept clean or maintained to the standard that it should be with us having anyone being full-time. I could see everything that happens in this community in one drive-by. And to me, that's why I'm not against going private, because I've seen for the past few years that we don't have a clean town. So I'm for it, especially if it says we're going to save some money. And like you said, if it doesn't work out and eventually we can hire someone again, it might be one of the people from the cleaning crew that we have as a contracting basis. So I am for anything that says save money, It's not personal. It's about maintaining the best community with the less amount of money that we have to do it in, just to get over whatever crisis our town is going through budget-wise. But at the end of the day, this community is not a clean town. So that is just, I'm not seeing it as who's behind the doors cleaning it. All I know is they're not cleaning it. So that is my comments about going private. I am for it.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. So now I believe we heard from everybody on Zoom. There's several comments in the chat. I'm going to hold off on those comments and try to get the folks in the room. We're going to start with Ben, and then we'll go to the lady right here in the first row. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Mary. Miss Mary, we'll go to you next. Mary, we'll go to you next.
I have a series of comments. I'd like to start briefly with a suggestion that the meeting would move faster if certain commissioners didn't feel the need to go on a 5-minute rant after certain public comments. We understand the commissioner's position. We don't need follow-up commentary, again, re-emphasizing all the work that they've done and encouraging us to run for their offices. There are, in fact, 5 people who can be fired here, and they're the 5 people elected by the voters. We are well aware that we can run for your position. Moving on to my other comments, I will start with the idea that I've heard from our town manager, that this is just an experiment, that we're trying something out for a year. I'm going to finish my comments before I expect any answers or questions or comments or rants or response or follow-up. You're discussing this like it's an experiment, but laying people off is an experiment with their lives. You're also discussing signing a 1-year contract as an experiment to see if it will work for snow removal, whereas I have found that our snow removal is enviable among all of my friends that live in other communities in the DMV, particularly in Prince George's County. You're signing a contract with a bunch of these services hoping that it will work out, but these are our lives as the residents of Cottage City, running an experiment with our services, with our snow removal, and an experiment that results in someone losing their job seems questionable. To my next point, American Landscaping currently does work for our town. I live across the street from Town Hall. As we all suffered in June and July, there was a drought this year. I work from home. I witnessed American Landscaping repeatedly coming by weekly to mow the town property, and then I'm assuming bill us for it. Perhaps they did it out of charity, for fun, I don't know. I didn't have to mow for 60 days this summer, yet American Landscaping was at Town Hall weekly mowing. And then, again, perhaps not charging us for it, but if they were cheating us, and it's very strange to be debating giving them more money. Next, I'd like to point out that it is very strange to hear from Commissioner Givens and others on the extreme budget shortfalls this town has when there's this lovely investment property behind Town Hall that can be sold in this hot property market. Have we considered perhaps selling that for revenue? The advantage of the town selling that recent acquisition to raise money would be that we would put a family in there, or multiple families, who could then pay property taxes. You know, we don't want to raise taxes, but we could increase the tax base by having more homes. Again, just a suggestion. I'm just a humble citizen, voter, taxpayer, not a member of the commission. And I was not here when the discussion began on purchasing that home. I understand this was a many-year project that the commissioners worked very hard on for many, many years. But again, we could sell it, just a thought. Let's see, next comment. Yes, there's been an obfuscation of laying off employees by claiming it to be a personnel matter. We are discussing a budget that is paid for with our tax dollars. Budgets are a matter of public record and public discussion. I find it very strange that Commissioner Brooks has told me that this could not be discussed without an attorney. I find it very strange that there have been all these closed sessions that were clearly leading up to this. Perhaps not. Again, you can tell me I'm completely wrong, and all these closed sessions for the last 3 months were something completely unrelated. But at a certain point, I understand that HR matters are privileged, and we all understand that. We've all been in workplaces. There's a difference between privileged and obfuscating major decisions involving the town budget. Now again, I'm not an HR professional. I have no suggested timeline that you could tell people about a layoff, and when you tell the public, things like that. There is no way that this was done correctly with transparency to the people that you work for, which is us, the taxpayers and citizens of Cottage City. Next on my list of comments. The health cost of layoffs. I was laid off twice in 2023. When you are laid off, your life expectancy drops. The health of your family is actually reduced. It takes weeks off of your lives. The idea that we're doing this as an experiment, that we're just doing this because it's the budgetary thing to do, ignores the fact that this impacts human beings, impacts families. And again, we are a community united in diversity, except when people are disposable to us, perhaps. Next comment. Replacing full-time employees who have full-time benefits, retirement packages, healthcare, with contractors that we have no information on their hiring practices and their benefits packages in these contracts. I've reviewed it. It does not say these employees are full-time, if they're paid a living wage, if they receive healthcare, retirement benefits, life insurance, dental, vision, transit benefits, anything like that. It makes it very difficult for me to think that we're spending our tax dollars in a moral and reasonable way. I shop at stores as best I can that don't do awful things. I try to avoid buying from Amazon. My dollars are how I express my morality. And my tax dollars that you all are deciding to spend, I demand, expect, and will not go quietly into the night if you're spending them with immoral companies. And again, American Landscaping, they might be the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts of America for all I know. There's no information on that whatsoever here. So I'd like to just advise you that as a taxpayer, I expect my dollars to be spent in a moral fashion, in a way that pays the employees of Cottage City or the contractors in a moral, ethical, living, humane manner that we expect our neighbors to be treated in. And lastly, in regard to the town meeting minutes that are missing from the website apparently, and the fact that we consistently get the newsletter 2 weeks late, and the fact that the minutes or the agenda for this meeting goes out with, again, some obfuscation about what the point of the meeting is. If we are to know that the budget is that bad, perhaps in all of this information to us, we should have received a 3-paragraph letter saying, hey, we have a serious budget issue in Cottage City. Perhaps you should come to the next town meeting. We're going to have an open session about how bad it is. We're going to go through this. Again, I don't pay that much attention. I know I don't. I vote in elections to ask you all to pay attention, and we pay you to pay attention. But if it has come to the point of terminating people's employment and making major $100,000 decisions with contractors, I think we should have had that better communicated to us before it got this bad. I yield my time.
Thank you for your comments. Mary, you're next.
My name is Mary Humphrey. My maiden name was Anderson. My grandparents moved to Cottage City in the very early 1900s. I live in their house. This is not just a town, it's a community. The people in public works are the ones that I have had the most contact with other than the police. Both groups have been polite, caring, understanding, and everything you would accept from a neighbor. Outsourcing is never a good idea when you're trying to add something to the community. I don't want someone cutting the grass the same way they do in Edmonston or Hyattsville or Mount Rainier or Brentwood or Colmer Manor. I want the grass cut here by people who care about Cottage City. I want the people that work here to care about Cottage City the same way that I do. My grandfather was a town commissioner. I hope I'm not boring you. My father was also a commissioner here. Some of you may have known him. My father was George Anderson. Now, the reason that I came to this meeting was to find out what the heck is going on. Because I pay the taxes. I care for my yard. I don't know what areas you're talking about where the grass cutting is taking place. I'm assuming that that's something that belongs to the town, because it's not my grass. It's not the grass in the right-of-way adjoining my property, because that's what I cut myself. When you talk about people picking up leaves, they're not picking up my leaves. The town planted oak trees in the right-of-way adjoining my property, and the leaves fall on my yard. I don't rake the leaves. I run over them with my mulching mower, and they drop where they are. I don't expect somebody to pick them up. I don't want somebody to blow them off the yard. They make food for all the little critters that live in my yard, and I encourage them to live in my yard. Now, this is all very disturbing to me because I lived here. I went to elementary school right here on this property. This is not just a town to me. It is my home. Now, you may think that you're saving me money by outsourcing, but you're putting somebody in my community, in my hometown, that doesn't know who I am and doesn't know what I care about and doesn't know what any of you care about either. Now, if you think that's a good idea, I do not agree. That is the whole reason that I came here tonight. And I've listened to a lot, and a lot of it was very disappointing. I'd like to believe that there are other people who live here in this town, my hometown, who care about it as much as I do. I really do not want this outsourced. I really do not want that decision made by you without considering us, without considering me, without considering every person that lives here and considers this their hometown. I ask you to remember why you were elected. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments from the audience? Tracy.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Gross, and I'm an employee with the town of Cottage City. And I just wanted to put it on the record that we received an email yesterday in regards to Public Works outsourcing. And the email stated from our town manager, "Good afternoon, staff. FYI, the town of Cottage City has decided to outsource Public Works starting on Thursday, January 2nd. Michael Folks will remain the code compliance officer. He will be moving from full-time to part-time. Anthony Silver will serve as maintenance for the town. He'll be moving from full-time to part-time. And then Mike Reed, who is a part-time employee, will be losing his position as of January 2nd. And I will say with Mr. Anthony Silver, He's been an employee here for over 17 years. He just started his retirement plan with the town of Cottage City. He will be losing his family benefits. He has a family and children. He'll be losing his benefits and him and Michael Folks will not be able to participate in the retirement plan. Since I have been employed here since February 2022, we have never received an official copy of the employee handbook to date. The last performance appraisal that we received as employees, I can't speak of the police department, but we had not received actual appraisal since the month of December 2022. Employees are being disciplined for things within the years gone past, and within the past 2 years, the employees have never been offered outside training to improve their performances. No corrective performance plan has ever been issued. And as I spoke with the town manager today, one-on-one, prior to this meeting, I informed him, we also don't have an employees human resource department. So employees don't have anywhere to go here. Only person we can go and talk to is the town manager. If we have any concerns, our only option is the town manager, sorry. Without having employee protection of human resources, it is very easy for this municipality to use, which was stated to me today, State of Maryland at-will employment law, which means that employees can generally fire employees for any reason without cause or notice. And employees can quit at any time. I am very, very concerned. I've been in the industry and management for 28 years. I'm here as a grant manager, but it has hurt me because all of us are family here. And to see these employees at this time of the year of losing their jobs starting in January. And I asked the town manager today that the budget was set for FY 2024 through 2025, which started July of this year. Why are we making these decisions when their salaries were already included for this fiscal year? Why are they losing their jobs at this time of year? And that's my concern. I'm speaking as an employee of Cottage City. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any more questions or comments from the audience? Mr. Folks?
All right. Good evening, everybody. I usually don't say anything. I usually keep quiet, keep everything to myself, because right now, I have an employee who's hurting so bad that he can't even come here and speak for himself. This man has been here over 17 years. This man has a family. This man has, yes, he's had some ups and downs. I've tried to coach him, and I am still coaching him. And if I leave here tomorrow, I will still continue to coach him. People have issues at times. None of us are perfect. Because if we are, none of us would be in here. So for y'all to say, yeah, we're gonna save the town $100 and whatever it is, $35,000 of salaries. These guys, and since I've been put in this position, because I was only temporary public works supervisor, since I've been here, I've talked to the majority of these citizens here, and each one of these citizens say they pretty much know these gentlemen back and forth. They have nothing but the best things to say about these two gentlemen. Myself, I've only been here 2 years, but I tell you what, I've knocked on almost every door since I've been here and talked to almost pretty much everyone here. It's just unbearable to see that one man's gonna lose his job, the other man's probably gonna lose his house, he's gonna lose everything because now he is now part-time. And again, I know how the game works. For many of you don't know, I own my own company. My family has passed down a company to me. This job, because of Chief Ayers, he asked me to help him. He wanted me to come here to help this community. I have done everything that this commission has asked me of. Everything. You had vehicles that weren't running. So let's start there. Because I was told by the previous manager, public works manager, that he asked for money to get new vehicles, get new equipment, and get new things. He was denied. I don't know how true that is. So I'm only going off of what the gentleman says. Now, when I came here, you had 2 vehicles that were sitting up in public works that had been sitting there for, I was told, 3 to 4 months. Was not working. Myself and Chief Ayers got those vehicles working. He had a leaf machine back there. Wasn't working, broke. We fixed that. I took a whole day, 8 hours, on my back, in the cold, rewiring this whole vehicle to make sure it would work. So when leaves need to be picked up, they were gathered. Same with the snow machine, same thing. And it feels like when I was a town manager, when I was temporary town manager, I did that. So I held 3 hats at one time. And I can honestly say, that was one of the hardest times in my life, but I did it because I didn't want to fail the people of Cottage City. And I refused to fail the people of Cottage City. Yes, I didn't do a perfect job. There are some things I did not know because that was my first time in that position. But I did my darnest to make sure that I could cover what I could cover. Staffing, we had shortage of staff. We had a person that was hired that didn't actually know the job, but I tried to coach that person as well. So, and I understand that, I don't want to take up too much time, but I think they deserve a little bit more dignity than what they've been given. You give somebody 30 days and you're busted down to nothing, and I'm gonna say it straight out. I don't care how you feel about it, you can fire me tomorrow. Guess what? I don't need the job, but I'm here because I love everybody in this town. I have not had a problem. I had one issue and it was squared away. But I come here every day. I'm here early in the morning. Know why? Because I want to see what's going on. If something happens, I want to be able to catch it when it happens. I don't believe in breaking people down and try to use my authority to threaten people. Oh, if you do this, then I'll take care of you this way. I don't believe in that, because that shows me where you come from. That shows me that you always got picked on when you were younger, and now all of a sudden you got a position of power, you want to use it to bully people. I know all about that. I've seen that done. It doesn't scare me. I'm gonna stand here and say what I gotta say. Like I said, you wanna pull a game of, okay, you're gone tomorrow, you're gone next week, you're going whatever, I'm fine with that. I'm fine to fight the battle. I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna stay here, and I'm gonna still, as long as I'm employed with Cottage City, I'm gonna give these people 190%. Like I said, you had a trailer back there that's been sitting there almost 4 or 5 years, has not been used. Another thing, I rebuilt that trailer, painted that trailer, used all my effort to make sure that we had the best Halloween ever. And from my understanding, we did, to my knowledge. I've given this place everything I've had, everything. The pay that you're giving me, and I feel like it's a slap in the face, because the pay that you give me, I'm doing 2 jobs. Even when I was doing 3 jobs, I was only making the actual money because I was doing the overtime. I had to stay here late for meetings and things like that. The 2 jobs that I have right now, I should be making at least $110,000. I'm not even in the ballpark of 80, which is not a problem, because the money doesn't concern me, and I'm trying to make that known. The money does not mean nothing to me. I am very well off, extremely well off, and it's not bragging, it's the truth. I come here to do a job because that's what I am. I am a public servant. I will serve these people. Even if I leave here tomorrow, I will still come in Cottage City and say, you know what, that's a piece of trash on the ground. Let me pick it up. Because that's the type of person I am. You don't have a lot of people like that. These little outsourced little companies, they're gonna see it. If it's on the sidewalk, it's gonna stay there. If it's in the street, they might pick it up. They might pick it up. I deal with contracts all the time. All the time. And for certain people who say, well, I'm a contractor, and let me tell you something. Until you reach my level in life, and I'm not saying it to be an idiot or in whatever you want to call it, You can't say, well, I've done this, I've done that, because there are a lot of things in life that people say they've done, but they don't do them good. They always say that just because you're a supervisor doesn't make you a good supervisor, it makes you a good test taker. We used to say that in the police department all the time. It's a true statement. And I just want to say that I feel so sorry. I got to apologize to you, Mike, because I didn't see this coming. And like I said, yeah, it might not be personal, but there's other things in this that you can cut without cutting. Public Works it's most of these moms around here, when I talk to them, there's my son Mike. Where's my son Mike at? Where's my son Anthony? And I'm saying to myself, wow, these people consider these young men to be their children because they've watched them come through the ranks. I found a picture of Anthony, I kid you not, I have to laugh about this. It was a picture about 17 years ago. And Anthony was this big and he looked like a football player. It kind of threw me because this was something that I saw. I had looked at it yesterday and I saw it again today. I was like, man, this man has been here that long and this is what he gets. He don't deserve it. He does not deserve it. And I hope, all the other stuff that's been going on all day long, it's a whole lot of rumors going around, it's a whole lot of stuff. It is what it is. I don't really care about that because I'm gonna address that. But at the same token, I think that we need to revisit this. And like I said, after the fiscal season, maybe if you want to fire people after July, give them some time to find something. You breaking this man down to a 30-hour week. Is what I'm told. A 30-hour week. He ain't paying no bills with that. He can't do nothing. He has no benefits now. So now he gets sick. He's on his deathbed. He's going to go to the hospital with a bill that's more than his pay. I think that is wrong. And again, I don't usually stand up and talk, but I'm frustrated of the way it happened. It should have never went down this way. The people of this town put commission in a place to do a job. Not to be, and I'm not calling you guys bullies, but this is a bully move. This is a strictly bully move. Leave, take these circumstances, or I'll terminate you. That's a bully move. And that's something I do not like. Because with bully moves, what happens is karma comes around. Karma circles very well. And 9 times out of 10, what you do to that person is going to come back to you 25 times harder. Might not be the same issue, but you're going to receive it. You're going to receive it. So I just wanted to say this because, again, the gentleman couldn't come in. He had a long day. He had a lot going on. His feelings were all over the place. The man could barely pick his head about the ground because he was so hurt by what he did. And like I said, I understand that Anthony had his issues. We understand that. I fully know this. But I'm not going to kick somebody when they down. I refuse to kick somebody when they down because that's the whole point. I thought Cottage City was let's lift people up, let's help people, let's do for people. Nah, it's not. You're not doing for them because you throw them to the trash. You got a guy that lives in the town, has been pushed to the side. And I just want to say this, and like I said, whatever happens, I'm fine with it. But I think they deserve a little bit more dignity. I think they deserve some time, not 30 days, not 60 days, not 90 days. Give people time to find something better for themselves so they can say, okay, you know what? If this is the route they want to go, at least I'm prepared. You just jumping the gun and saying, okay, well, I'm going to save the town money. There's a lot of things around this. And again, I was a town manager for a while. So all the little mishaps, the little things that's been happening, the overspending of certain budgets, I've seen it all. I know all the little things. I know who's doing things they shouldn't be doing, who's being allowed to do things they should not be doing, and it's all going to come to light. It's all going to come to light. So again, it's no disrespect to anybody on the commission, and even you, John. But the whole thing is, I think this could have come at could have been done a lot better. It could have come at a different time. Holidays, now this person has to struggle to figure out, pay bills, Christmas, or neither. Put yourself in this position. See how it feels. See how it feels to be thrown to the dirt. There are a couple people, there might be a couple of commissioners that have been that route, but you got to ask yourself, how did you feel when you were put there? And I know there's a lot of texts going around. I know there's a lot of things being said online. Oh, he's this and he's that, he's this and he's that. And why is he here if he has so much money? I'm here because I serve the people. I've been told that. Why is he here if he has so much money? Not to be an idiot, not to be bragging, but I do it because I love it. I have, the money is never an issue. If that was the case, when they gave me this little bit, I could have said, have you lost your mind? I will stay where I am. If you're gonna give me $12,000 extra on top of what I'm doing now, I'm doing 2 jobs. And now I'm doing 3 jobs for the same amount of money. Same amount of money. So this is all I wanna say. I just wanna make it clear and make it known that I think it's not right. They're gonna hate me, you're gonna be mad at me, you're gonna say what you wanna say, but guess what? I'm okay with it. Because tomorrow morning, I'm gonna wake up and be the same happy, jolly person I was when I first walked in here. I'm not gonna lose no sleep, and I'm gonna do my best to try to help these guys out, whatever position they're in. Because that's what real people do. The other people just sit back and say, you know what, that's not my problem. Oh well, hard times, that's on you. Too bad, everything happens. I mean, things happen to people all the time. Yeah, that's fine. But until it happens to you, that's when you know. Lose something that's very valuable. Lose something that's very valuable that you put your heart and sweat into, and see how you feel after you lose it. That's all I want to say.
Thank you for your comment.
I have a question.
Yes?
Amazing, Mike.
Yeah, hold on.
Thank you so much.
Hold on just a second. Mission. An issue arose where the then commission voted that they would switch from 2-year to 4-year terms, including the people who were on the commission and had only been elected for 2 years. They were going to give themselves an extra 2 years. Some of us got together, including Demetrius and me and Bill, a bunch of other people. And the lawyer at the time advised us that if we got, I can't remember how many it was, maybe 240, I can't remember how many signatures, but I really think that legally we ought to look into this, because if you have the right number of signatures on a petition, that can be brought to the commission, and the commission can be asked to then accept the petition, and that would be a way to change the thing that you're objecting to. And so I think we ought to look into that, ask our lawyer about that, and you might want to check. We had a different lawyer at the time. It seems like it was 240, but I think we ought to look back into what happened back then, because we managed to change a position that the then commission had taken to extend their own terms, and we managed to revert. We had to have an election about it, and there had to be a vote of the commission, but still, it's a way to go about changing something that the townspeople disagree with.
Yes, ma'am.
And we can ask Mr. Our lawyer about it as well.
You know, I think it should be up to the people. I think we get into this legal ground where it's going to be a big battle. It's going to be a bunch of swinging. Yes, the people at the end of the day are going to probably have the ultimate say, because again, this is their tax money they're spending. If they want to say, okay, well, we are 125, and as far as deficit, I'm not going to say I'm the smartest man in the world, but I know numbers more than most people. Like I said, I run a business that's multi-million-dollar business. And the deficit that you have If you put yourself in it, you dig yourself out. You don't throw away things. You don't throw away things that has been detrimental. People said, and the comment I heard that was on the thing, and I'm gonna be real brief with this. I've seen things broken. I've seen things in the street. I've seen that the town looks like a hot mess. It's funny that they say that because I've talked to almost every town in Prince George's County. Guess who comes with the cleanest? Now, you said it was the poorest, but guess who comes with the cleanest? Cheverly, then Cottage City. Cottage City is one of the, as far as road-wise, you don't have a lot of people throwing trash on the ground the way it is. Yes, Cheverly got money. They're well off. So they're gonna have the best of everything. However, Cottage City is probably one of the cleanest towns out there. You're gonna have your thing. You remember, this is not Bowie. You're not gonna have $1 million homes sitting out there where they're paying people to come out there and clean the thing every day. These guys go around every day and do what they have to do. If they see something, they do it. They do it. Sometimes I might miss it myself and say, hey guys, I'll go around, you guys need to clean this up. Yes, sir. Done. I asked them one time. I don't have to talk to them like kids and ask them 3 or 4 times to do it. They do it the first time I ask them. So I will say that. And as far as cutting grass, no. American Landscaping, the only reason they have this job is because the walk behind that they have has never been serviced. The equipment they have doesn't get serviced. If they had new equipment, these guys could actually do this job without a problem. You can do it in one day. Like they say, American Landscaping was cutting grass while the grass wasn't even growing. I saw that myself and I thought that was crazy. I was like, why are they here? They're cutting grass that is not even an inch long. Are they getting paid? Who knows? Like you said, I don't know. I'm not gonna sit there and say now, are they doing it for free? Who knows? But I don't believe so, because they're not gonna bring out $1,000 equipment just to cut grass just like that and say, you know what, guys, I'm gonna give it to you free this time. I'm gonna give it to you free the next time. I'm gonna give it to you free this time also. They're not gonna do that. Because I'm telling you right now, if you had one of my $300,000 dump trucks out there, I ain't giving you no free service. You gonna pay for this. You might get a small discount, but you gonna pay. So again, I just had to say this again, as far as legal battles. I've talked to a couple people, family member, labor lawyer, just mentioned it last night. Same issue, it's a problem. There's a lot of loopholes in what's going on. And my aunt, same thing. So again, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed in how it happened. That's all it is. I think if the guys had more time, you'd be giving everybody more time to settle themselves out and say, okay, this is what's happening to you guys. For to make this guy sign a paper saying you're done. Or if you don't sign this paper, I'll terminate you. Guess what? It is what it is. That's how I feel right now. It is what it is. Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be all right no matter what. So again, I'm not gonna waste anybody's time. I know you wanna go into closed session so you can, discuss these things and ramp it up so we all look bad. I'm fine with that. So again, I hope everybody has a good night. I just wanted to speak and let it be known this is how I feel. You're welcome.
Thank you for your comment. All right, we're gonna keep going. Next on the agenda is request to dispose, donate, sale of town furniture. I'm not sure who's taking that one.
Yes, due to the fact that we did purchase furniture, but let me be clear. The 3 desks that I did purchase, I purchased in my own budget, in my own buying power. I thought at the last meeting, and that's why I say it's very important to have minutes, because I got thrown on the bus saying that I purchased, y'all told me at the last meeting for me to get my desk, and I got my desk. Y'all asked me how much it's gonna cost. I said, I can get all the desks in the town hall, I mean, all the desks in the police station for less than $4,000, and I said I'd probably get it a lot cheaper. Y'all told me that I can go get it, okay? Pull the minutes up. Someone said, go ahead and take care of that. If I misunderstood that, I apologize. That's why it's important to have minutes, all right? But I don't want nobody to think that I went here and misused ARPA funds, because I'm a loyal person. I do what I'm supposed to do. I'm gonna tell y'all what I have right now that I spent. I saved money. You know who gets over $300,000 of grants the last couple of years? The police department. I'd rather they got grants. And to go ahead and make me seem like I went here and did something wrong, illegal, is making me very angry. I'm sick of this place. I really am. I'm about through, ready to turn my gun and badge in, because I'm tired of keep on busting my tail for this town and we get treated this way. I was told that a girl that's one of our people that live in this town, her last days will be Friday. Friday. That is wrong. That is wrong. That is wrong. I don't care. Y'all can be mad. Y'all can fire me tomorrow. I don't care right now, because y'all do stuff that's backwards. This stuff I didn't know about until the other day. This is wrong. This is wrong. Furniture. The furniture I received that I got for ARPA money, I want to make sure that it's the same furniture that was in there for the last chief, so the next chief that gets my position had the same desk I had. That amount was $1,342, the same desk that was in there before. My desk was falling apart. My drawers were coming apart. The desk was over 7, 8 years old. Whoever had it before I had it didn't take care of it. It's falling apart. Mold. I had mold on my desk. But we don't talk about that. Yes, we don't talk about this. Office desk. The other 3 office desks I got, $572.34. I paid for those desks out of my budget. I'm just asking them, can they please put it back on ARPA funds so I can save that money? Other office equipment, $513. That's for 2 cabinets, because the other cabinets rusted out the bottom. The bottom's rusted out. The total amount that I'm asking for them to pay out ARPA funds is $2,428.28. That's all I'm asking for the police department. That's all. The other stuff in reference to the storage facility, it's not just for the police department, it's for the town. They asked me to get that. I got that for them. But it's not coming from the police department. No, it's point of order.
Point of order, Chief.
On top of that.
Point of order, Chief.
The town hall
Chief Ayers.
building for
Chief
security,
Ayers.
that's not coming to the police department. It may seem like it's coming to the police
Ayers.
department.
Can you?
This is wrong.
Can you?
I'm getting tired of you throwing under the bus.
Chief Ayers.
No, y'all make it seem like I'm a criminal. The way you said something, the way he said it.
Wait a minute.
No, that is wrong.
The agenda item is to request to dispose and donate of town furniture. Are you talking about that, or are you talking about something else?
I got new furniture. The old furniture needs to be disposed of.
What's your request?
My request is to dispose of the old furniture.
Dispose of it how, please? Dispose of it how? Are you saying to donate it?
To donate to
to who? A charity?
No, donate it to Capital Fort Lift. The Community Fort Lift, which is a nonprofit.
And how much furniture is being donated?
I have the pictures of all the equipment, all of the desks. It's
So it's a total of 11 items?
11 items, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's do the discussion. We'll start with Commissioner Brooks.
No, I'm all for donating. I like what Community Forklift does, so I support it.
Thank you, Commissioner Givens.
Yeah, I'm okay to that. And one thing I would say is, we could establish.
I can't hear you, Commissioner Givens. Can you speak up?
Can you hear me now?
It sounds like you're far away.
I'm right here by my tablet. Can you hear me now? You might need to turn up the speaker. Maybe, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead now. Go ahead now.
Okay. All right. So I'm for it, but I would just say that we need to establish a written policy in regards to a form to be filled out on behalf of whatever department for disposal and brought forth to the commission for disposal. That's all. Thank you.
I did that. I turned it over to the town manager.
No, I'm not speaking to you, Chief. I'm speaking in regards to the commission, and the town manager needs to create a form, a standard form that for any department. I'm not sure if that's been done. I know I've talked about it, but I'm not sure if they've established that. I've never seen the form. That was it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Givens. I don't have any objections to the donation. Commissioner Henderson.
Henderson has no objection.
I'm fine with it too.
All right, let's move on. Next is public comments. So I don't know if we have any more public comments. Oh, Amy. Okay, Amy, you have the floor. Amy, are you still there? Amy?
Yes.
You
Hi.
have the floor.
Yeah, sorry. Trying to work my computer. I really want to say that, as I've been trying to say for the whole night, our public works folks are the core of our entire community. I really respect them. They've come out to help me when we had a fallen line, like a fallen line. I really want them to all be part of our community. So yes. So I if we're gonna have a decision about what the money is going to be for all of the budget, then we need to put out money for the Public Works Department.
Thank you for your comment. Any other public comments at this time? Hearing none, we are at the end of our agenda for tonight. It is 10:05. We do need to go into a closed session. So we are going to have to suspend the rules in order to take the vote to go into the closed session. So, before we go into closed session, is there a motion to suspend the rules so we can take this one vote tonight?
Brooks, so moved as read.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Brooks and Givens, for the motion. We're going to call for the vote to suspend the rules, starting with at-large Commissioner Brooks.
Brooks, aye.
Givens?
Givens.
I think you said aye. Wheatley, aye.
Henderson, aye.
I don't know what this is about, but I'll go along.
It's to suspend the rules so we can take the vote.
I know that.
Go into closed session.
I know that.
Motion passes. There were no nays or abstentions to suspend the rules. So now, we do need to go into closed session, and the reason is, I got it, is to, under statutory authority to go into closed session under general provisions, Articles 3-305B, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals, and to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. Hearing the authority that we have to go into closed session, is there a motion to go into closed session at 10:07 p.m.?
Brooks, so moved as written.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooks. Thank you, Commissioner Brooks, for your motion, and Commissioner Givens for your second. I will now call for the vote to go into closed session. Those in favor, starting with Commissioner Brooks, please say aye.
Brooks, aye.
Givens?
Givens, aye.
Wheatley, aye.
Henderson, aye.
Young, aye.
There are no nays or abstentions. We are now in closed session. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance. We do apologize for the long meeting, but I know we had a lot to discuss. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night. So it is 11:50 p.m. December 3rd.
Happy birthday.
No, I got 10 minutes.
Okay.
Give me 10 minutes.
Almost.
We are back in open session. Those in attendance were the 5 commissioners, the town manager, the town attorney. Chief Ayers did attend for the first few minutes. We did have to go into closed session to discuss personnel matters. We did take a vote on 4 items. All 4 motions passed with a majority vote. Given the sensitivity of the personnel actions that we voted on, I will not disclose them in the public portion of the meeting. Only I will say that the town manager has been directed to act on the votes that were taken tonight. We did seek legal advice from Attorney Bess. Let's see, I think that covers everything. If not, somebody will let me know. It's 11:51. If there's nothing else to be said, I make a motion to adjourn. Can someone please second?
Brooks, second.
Thank you.
Givens?
Call for the vote.
Givens, aye.
Brooks, aye.
Henderson, aye.
We are now adjourned at 11:51. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Happy birthday, Wanda.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.